I met a gypsy.
Yeah,
Better?
that's sweet. Yeah, that's cool. Rains, we recording everything? Jacob, we recording?
Yep.
Sick, boys. All right, bang, 8 on the dot. Jason Anderson, welcome to Gypsy Tales, the great man himself. How are you, brother?
I'm good. Just doing the normal, riding and training. Had a long one right now, so we need a weekend off here pretty soon.
Yeah, so you are probably one of the most requested guests on Gypsy Tales. People definitely want to hear from El Hombre, but you don't really do that many of these, which like I kind of enjoy the fact that you don't do too many of these.
Yeah, it's really tough whenever it comes to like podcasts and stuff like that, especially for me. Like, dude, I try and keep the drama very low, like as far as like my personal life and everything. And podcasts sometimes are very opinion based, so it's hard for me because I would rather just like have no voice and be criticized for nothing, Yeah. So that's kind of how it is.
And it's one of those things where you kind of just can't please everyone anyway. So it's like no matter what you do, no matter what you say, like you're going to get criticized anyway. So it's like I fully appreciate now, especially nowadays, like that I've started doing it, that it's just like, man, that people can be just so fucking off base with their commentary and their opinions. And then everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's got like Billy Bolt actually said it kind of cool where he's like, man, you produce this content and you work on having this platform that has like hundreds of thousands and millions of views, and then you just like give that million view or like 300,000 view video, you just give people a chance to be the top comment on this thing that's being seen by all these people, and it's just like this guy doesn't deserve that.
Yeah, it's dude, it's tough because no matter what you say, you're gonna have negative feedback in some way, shape, or form. And people always are like, don't read the comments and stuff like that, but dude, you read that stuff, so like for me it's kind of tough to really just I hate to say this, but like the fans sometimes they make it not fun. And just for the fact that you feel like you're going to get negative feedback from, at least for me, it's going to be at least 1,000 people, and it really is what it is. So it's really tough for me to be motivated to give people like maybe an insight to my life or give my opinion on what happened on the race weekend or any of this, because you're just like, I can't win, So it's really tough. It's tough for us because we're already have enough pressure on ourselves, and then to have pressure from like outside influences such as like fans and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, most of them are pretty cool. It's just those ones that really, they kind of, put the knife in you a little bit.
Yeah, dude. So do you remember at OzX Open like a few years ago, we were on the couch and you were trying to talk Dino into going like ham into YouTube, and this was pre Team Fried, and you like, I could tell you had this crazy vision for what a YouTube channel could be like and what content could be like, and you're fully directing Dean and like building out his YouTube channel. And then I think I said something like, dude, why don't you do that shit? And you're like, I don't have the personality. Like, I don't think I'll be able to pull it off. Fast forward to 2022, Team Fried is probably the most culturally relevant thing in the sport. And not only that, you've actually inspired a ton of other people to do what you're doing. And I mean, dude, you've inspired people all over the world, like even with Rones and Alex, like they do the guys that work for us, they do bakery films, and it's like, it's really Team Fried inspired in a way, and it's like going from the guy that's on the couch a few years ago being like, nah, I don't have the personality to pull it off, to now it's kind of a big difference. And I don't know, like, was the seed in your mind then, or did it just happen?
Yeah, whenever we started like Team Fried or whatever, it was kind of just like, it was actually vlog style at first, and that's kind of what we did, but we were just having fun making videos and stuff like that, and it's turned into something bigger. And if I'm being honest, I feel like I have a, somewhat of a brain for, that side, and because I feel like being creative and stuff like that is something that, you know, me and my friends, we all have, between me, Tom, and Matt, and Nat, we got my friend Hunter, he's involved in our thing right now. So it's cool. And I know that, you know, Matt, Tom, Hunter, like they kind of got that cool little creative side to them. And for me, I wish I had more time to take away from my racing to be able to put more time into Team Fried. But right now I'm kind of letting those boys take the reins, and I try and, you know, give my opinion here and there. But I feel like we've created something, but I still feel like we're only scratching the surface a little bit, you know, and I feel like we could do even more. And right now we're trying to do, obviously we do like our apparel and stuff like that, but for me, like the apparel side has been like a whole nother adventure for us, you know, just trying to, because that's the only way that we monetize. We don't make money off YouTube because we're obviously using copyrighted music and stuff like that. But for us, we think music is part of the culture, you know, like we think that like putting cool songs and dirt bikes and stuff like that. We try and go for our vibe. We try and go for stuff that's nostalgic, like, you know, like obviously Terra Firma era, all that stuff. So we're trying to get like inspiration from everywhere. But I think it's really cool, and it's a job, you know, that luckily I'm able to have Tom and Matt and them. They kind of take the reins on it, and I kind of just like put the pieces of the puzzle together. But dude, the whole YouTube thing is a full-time job. It's crazy. And but at the end of the day, it's cool nowadays. Like, I'm not a big fan of social media all the time because obviously there's a lot of BS on there and stuff that is I don't think the best for you. But at the same time, it's created so much opportunity for people to you know, put their brains out there and give people a little bit of insight to their creativity, you know. And that's what we're trying to do with Team Fried. But it's still a process.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's funny you talk about the music thing, man. Like there's been some edits last year that Tom did through the outdoors. Man, honestly, I think Tommy single-handedly like rebirthed the outdoors. Like I just didn't give a fuck really about those races that much. And Tommy Tenders just fully brought me back in. And it's through the way that he films, it's the vibe that he has with the riders, and then it's that music selection and the fact that like that motherfucker's busting his ass to get those videos out while it's still super relevant. And man, I think that when Davey hired him to do the social stuff for the outdoors, like that fully brought the outdoors back for me.
Yeah, to be honest, for like outdoors and stuff like that, I think outdoors, like I love Supercross and I'm really good at Supercross, but it's so much different and the outdoors is so raw, you know? Yeah. And I think that the vibe that obviously Tom brings, Tom's kind of funny because he's like a hard guy. If he's really interested in something, he puts out the coolest stuff and he's on it. And Tom loves outdoors. He loves outdoors. So, for him, it's hard because you can't really tell him like you need to put out a video here and here. It's like you kind of got to let him do his thing because Tom's like creative juices aren't really flowing unless he's like flowing, you know. So he's kind of like, as weird as it sounds, Tom's kind of like a little athlete, you know. He's got to be in the right mental state to be putting this stuff out. Yeah, and he's like, man, we just got to hope that his Discover Weekly Spotify playlist is popping off for our videos.
Dude, speaking of athlete, he's a full golf athlete now too.
Dude, he loves it. I'm like, some days he comes dressed with like, you know, some cool clothes, like a cool hoodie and all that. And the next day he's dressed in like a soccer dad about to hit the links. So it's like he's kind of got two personalities right now. He's like golf guy and then film guy. So it's kind of funny.
I'm all about it, dude. His podcast too, while we're on the Tommy T discussion, fuck, that shit slapped. That was like one of the best episodes of last year, right? And he fully like this is the thing I love about him, plays himself down, filled with self-doubt. This podcast won't be cool, I won't be able to talk for that long. Fucking banger.
Dude, Tom is that way though. He runs off confidence. If his confidence is high, it's good. But he kind of doubts himself. But I'm like, dude, you're awesome at what you do. I don't even think he knows how good he is. Because sometimes I see him and he'll be like, dude, he'll make those edits. Like say like we did the Lost Files movie.
Yep.
And it was like during COVID, and I was like, Tom, since we're not doing anything, you should make like a movie or something. He's like, nah, I don't know about that. And then I'm telling you, he spent 3 days in his room and busted that thing out in like 3 days. It was really sick, you know,
Yeah.
but he can just do stuff if he really wants to. So, it's, he does some sweet shit.
I think that's like a product though. I think any good artist, any good athlete, anyone that's good at anything almost thinks everything they do sucks. And there's a balance that you've got to have with that. But I mean, I bet that even you as a writer think like, fuck, dude, I'm like absolutely dog shit at writing. And you're one of the best dudes in the world. So I feel like that's a necessary evil. But then that just becomes like the artist struggle or the athlete struggle is to push your way through that resistance you feel about the fact that you suck at what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I will say like before, I would say outdoor started last year. Tom, I remember he would like message us or our group message or whatever, and he'd be like, dude, I think I peaked in 2017. My videos were way better back then. And then like it came to like Washougal this last year, and he just texted us. He's like, I'm back. And I was like, it just cracked me up. He cracks me up because he's like, I'm back on top. And then, he's funny that way. But it is kind of how it goes. Like sometimes you really do doubt yourself. Just even for me as a racer or just in life in general, you do. But that's the cool thing. You just got to ride the wave.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You said before about the culture. And music's a part of the culture. It was funny. So when we were doing the Danny Rick podcast, because we're pretty much the same age. We're like 33. Yeah. And he was like, he mentioned the first Team Fried videos that he saw, or like even just your social shit that he saw, and it had like the trap music on it. And dude, like OG Tom was just like the trap god. Like you would have straight thought that him and Gucci were hanging every single night in the studio. And then Daddy Rick was like, dude, I just don't know, man. I don't know about the trap shit in moto. Like this isn't moto. It's supposed to be punk. It's supposed to be rock. And then he said like, I've just come around now, and like now I see that as a part of the culture, and I'm there with it too, you know. And it must be cool on your end to influence culture in that way and to sort of like shift. It's not like you can never run like a emo song or a pop punk song or like a, you know, anything old school, but it's like that. It's a new wave kind of gets accepted.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, Tom loves rap music. And he but the cool thing is I think like hanging around us, and I love rap music too, but I think we've broadened each other's spectrum as far as music goes, and we've kind of put it into our videos. Because dude, there'd be some weekends where we'd be using Gunna, and then next thing you know, we'd be using Kid Rock, and then you'd be using like, dude, anything, you know, like Blondie. I said we've used some of those songs, you know, so it's just it goes Bowie. On all ends. Yeah, dude. Actually, I thought one of the coolest Bowie edits was Mulse when he did that street one, that Fox one. I thought that this song really made his part. I thought that one was cool. Yeah,
dude. What was the Jet Lawrence Unadilla? What was the song that was going in there? Was it like was it? Maybe it was like Alice in Chains or something like that. Do you remember that edit?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it Alice in Chains?
I don't know if it was...
Was that one?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
It might have been Alice in Chains, but I know it's funny because I could definitely spot out the music that is going to be on the next one, because Tom really be like going through like a grunge phase. And then we try and influence him, and sometimes we'll send him songs, but he goes his own way with it a lot. But even like for me, like sometimes like he'll send me clips and I'll edit the ones for like my Instagram and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
To like what I like. So Yeah, it's kind of funny because we all kind of like bounce off of each other. But we always have like Tom really likes to present his videos, and he sits us all down. He's like, all right, watch this.
That's
and he gets all fired up though sometimes, because like if we go on our phones or something when he's playing his video, we're not paying attention. He gets kind of fired up. He needs that attention.
Dude, that's fucking cool though, and the fact that that you surround yourself with these homies that it's just like, I don't know, you probably know where I'm going with this. I don't really know how to explain it, I guess, but it's just like you identified pretty early on that their industry's fucking weird when it comes to like the people that hang around riders and shit like that. Like you've always fully just run your own program. You've had like this tiny circle, and it's guys that like, I think that the thing I love about Tommy particularly and Matt, they just are not clout chasers at all. And it's like you've kind of Tommy's the opposite of that, and it's like, yeah, he'll be the dude that's like, get off your fucking phone and watch my edit, you know, like that to me, like I think that's like dope as fuck. And there's not a lot of people that are like on the inner circle of a top tier rider that have that kind of relationship, you know. So it's like I think it's a big part of your success. I think it's a big part of like your longevity. But you know, the fact that you've surrounded yourself with like just real fucking people.
Yeah, it's really, really tough, you know, especially when, you know, I've been at the top level, you get beat down, you try and work your way back up. It's tough. And I'm very lucky that I've had, you know, good friends by my side, because the cool thing is like when it's, you know, Tom and Matt, no matter how my weekend goes, I know that, when I go hang out with them, it completely takes me away from all the inside BS, you know? But I've really recognized over the past couple of years that like, it's cool because we are both like pumping each other up, you know?
Yeah.
And to be honest, I feel like Tom's my number one fan, and that's cool. And I'm thankful because like, I feel like for him, he's always like filming and stuff like that. So, I'm not very good at like allowing people to do interviews with me and stuff like that. But, Tom's always the one who, kind of hands me the mic and let me say what I want to say, you know, as far as like my videos and express myself the way I want to. And that's a cool relationship that I have with him. And I don't think many, moto people have that relationships with outside people, because I see this is a crazy thing that I think sometimes is like, you see these guys and they get married and stuff like that, and then you look at like their best man, their groomsman or whatever, and it's like agent gear guy, you know. So it's like it's luckily mine is totally different than that spectrum. Nothing against my gear guy or my agent, but It is really cool that I've been able to develop a cool core group of friends that I fully trust too. I could be doing some shit that could get me in real big trouble, and I trust them that they're not gonna, you know. So between you know, those two, and it's cool. It's a cool setup, and I don't think many people get to go through their career with that type of lifestyle, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And I mean, it's something that I know just from like, I mean, I don't know the first time we met, but like from knowing you for a long time, like I could always tell that like that's how you had your shit set up. And it was, I guess people don't realize that maybe if they're not a rider that goes through the ups and downs, like there's definitely a thing that happens with riders where like your phone will hit when you win, and then it'll just be ghost town when you don't win. And then it's so visible. And I don't know if people that, because there's a lot of people that have your number, or there's a lot of people that you've replied to on Instagram that like you'll see a DM, and it's like, I don't even know if those people realize how obvious it is for guys like you when you do see a person come or go or like throw out a comment. I know the other day, I'll just say a lights rider had some fucking troubles, and then it was just like people were piling on publicly, and then privately like, oh, you know, I've just got to say that as part of my job and this, and it's just like, fuck all that. But that's how kind of fickle the industry kind of is, and you just saw it like a long time ago.
Yeah, it's still tough because I got to ride that fine line, you know, and it's you can't be completely honest. You realistically can't. Even though I feel like these guys have vlogs now and they're like giving you an insight to their life and they're like completely, it seems like they're being transparent. And I think they are more so than what they used to be.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you could be fully yourself.
Never do.
Just because like, dude, if you ever said that you like are having a hard time like mentally or anything like that, it has to be like Epstein-Barr, or you have to have an injury, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you said you're having a problem mentally or something like that, people would be like, damaged goods. He's not mentally stable. He's not going to be able to handle championship situation. But
Fragile
bro,
sticker.
you're a human at the you're a human at the end of the day. And that's something that our industry doesn't allow. But I understand this is that at the end of the day, these companies invest into you and you're an investment, you know? And dude, think about this. Like if the stock market goes crazy, people are buying like gold and silver to make sure they're good, you know, because they're like, ooh, red flag, you know? And I understand that like dirt bike companies, they're like, oh, mentally he's having a hard time. Ooh, red flag, you know, invest your money elsewhere. So it is the tough truth, but it's just how the world works, you know? Which sucks. It really sucks. But it sucks that we can't be fully honest, but at the same time, we have goals that we want to accomplish, and that's why we kind of keep it the way it is. And I don't think it'll ever change. It'll change somewhat, but it won't fully change.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I mean, it is just the nature of it. Like, dude, imagine the podcast we could have if we were fully honest. Like, there's stuff that like we literally cannot talk about, you know, and it just is what it is. It's stuff we'd fucking love to talk about, but it's just the world that we live in. Maybe like retirement, fuck you money, you know, actually have a full podcast bit, you know, talk about all that shit. But I guess that's why, with all that being said, it is so important to have the kind of friends around you that you do have. And one thing that I've noticed in my own life, or like a way that I try and explain the friendships that I have, is who are the people around you that don't have a ceiling for your success? Because there's a lot of people that it's like they want you to do good, but not better than them. And it's like, do you have any of those people in your life where there's any little hint of red flag of them kind of playing down your success, or kind of having these hints of jealousy, or kind of stifling your ideas because, like, you know, internally you're like, dude, this would be fucking legit. Like, I could fully pull this off. And then someone gives you like, but, you know. So if you've got those people around you, then like that to me is like the ultimate friend red flag. Then I know, you know, with like Sammy, that motherfucker wants me to get it as much as possible. Yeah. And his happiness and his self-worth and his value has zero. There's like zero of himself riding on my success. And like my brother's the same. And there's people that I have in my crew that it's like I could be as fucking big as whatever, or I could be as small as whatever. They're going to treat me the exact same way.
Yeah. Dude, to be able to find friends that are selfless like that is really, really tough. You know, just true, like kind of ride or dies, and they're just like, they just be pumping you up, and never knocking you. And I feel like our industry has a lot of people that act selfless, but they have a motive, you know? And that's what you gotta search through, you know? And dude, you come into that stuff at 16. At 16, you're dealing with these people that are like, dude, you hit puberty barely by the time you go pro. You know, you're discovering what life is. All your friends, they're partying and going to college, and you're expected to be an adult and be training. You know, there's so much that goes into being successful just as far as life goes. And and you have to deal with those friends, you know, that you don't
Yeah.
think they really have the best intentions, you know, and then you have people that you think have the best intentions, but really they have a motive. Yeah, luckily I've been able to work through that. You know, I've definitely came in contact with people that are like a little
Yeah.
a little sus right there, but you know, luckily I've been able to you know, shuffle through.
So, what year did you go pro? Was it like 14?
I went pro
13?
in 2011.
11. So I was there for your first Supercross season where you got benched
Yes.
by Bobby.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I'm just putting the pieces together and I'm like, you probably saw a lot of this shit in that time. So like your first season, fucking amateur standout, the G, get the factory ride, sick team, and then you struggle and then you get benched. So like I'm just envisioning that process there being like a real character building moment, and that is probably where you started to be like, oh, motherfuckers like you when you're on the way up, but on the way down, they're just not around in the same way. Like was that like a gnarly period for actually seeing that shit firsthand?
Dude, it was really gnarly for me because I came in and, you know, I won the Horizon Award at Loretta's, which is like, you know, top guy. And it would, you know, the guy before me was Dean. And at that time, Dean was like, dude, winning on PC. He was the man, you know?
Yeah.
So I came in and I was like, yeah, I mean, I got the same credentials, so I might as well do just as good. And it wasn't as easy as I thought. And luckily for me, I had Bobby, and that dude stuck by my side. Dude, to be honest, like I did so bad and he signed me for another year. And that next year I was like in my head, I'm like, I could still get podiums. I feel like I could still win. And I could see in people's eyes, they're like, come on. Like we saw you last year. There's no way. Like they're like, stop fucking with us. and Bobby was like, he was completely believed me, you know, and gave me full support. And was with me being relentless to be able to have success. So with that was my my one guy, you know, that really, really, really helped me out. But as far as all the other people, dude, it was literally just me. You know, my parents were like, yeah, dude, we think you're good, you know, and my parents always are like my cheerleaders. They kind of got to be, you know, but with Bobby, he helped me out, and even Dave Galland, those two were by my side, and man, we pulled it off, you know, and it's really cool. But I always think about this. I'm always like, in 2012, like I had a terrible season, and to be, you know, where I'm at in my career right now, people would have been like, hell no. You know, you see like Reed, Villapoto, Dungy winning Supercrosses, and you're like, this guy that barely was making the mains in 2011 is going to be winning Supercrosses. I'd be like, nice try.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean,
There's been some good odds in Vegas, though.
Dude, for real. I was a massive 312 fan when you're in amateurs, and then I remember sitting in those stands and just being like fucking devastated for you. I didn't know you at that point, and I was just like, fuck, I really thought he was gonna be the guy. And so I actually, my chick when I was in America, I was dating this girl that she was best friends with Holly growing up. They like went to school together. So I like knew, I knew that Hewitt's like fully away from Supercross. So, and I guess like Bobby knew that I was in Supercross, but I kind of just got to see him like family mode, away from racing. Like just the fucking best guy. Like to this day, of all the people that I met in America, he's one of the more stand-up dudes that I would consider, like, I guess someone that I even looked as like a bit of a mentor in a way. And I always look forward to seeing him like at the races, but more so just away from the races, like how he was as like a family man and like how he was as a dad. And so to sort of see that whole side of him, and then to see the situation play out with you, and then him just saying like, no, you just need to go figure your shit out. I kind of could see like that fatherly aspect of it. So I guess if I just saw it from the Supercross fan perspective, it probably would have looked worse than what it did. And maybe it did look like that to the outside people, but when you know like family man Bobby, that was like a dad taking care of his son almost.
Yeah. And you know what? That dude really, really protected me in more ways than I even like understood. And like, I think about this all the time is like, dude, there's some times where I was really self-destructive, you know, like just as a racer, like I would come in and I'd be fired up about stuff that was going on, you know, within the team. And this is early on in my Husky relationship. And I would be like, I'd get fired up and I'd be, if I'm being honest, I'd be like, tell Bobby, I'd be yelling at him and I'd be like, tell Husky to go fuck themselves. And then I'd call him like 6 hours later. I'd be like, you didn't tell them I said that, right? And he'd be like, nah, you're good. So like, I was like, those times I'm like, dude, if he would have said that stuff, it would have been so like me being like young and irrational. It would have screwed me. You know, like it would have just messed up that whole relationship. And he was really the balance, you know. And there was times where I definitely took him for granted and stuff like that. But yeah, he was kind of like he's definitely the father aspect of my whole career, you know. And luckily now, like I'm old enough to be able to be a little bit more diplomatic whenever I'm upset about stuff. But at one point, I did not have that in me.
I love the self-awareness though, like just as you get older you can't help but figure your shit out in a way, you know. I guess you just have like more time with yourself.
Yeah, growing up sucks, man. You got to develop a filter sometimes and you don't want to but you have to, you know. That's just the way life works. Yeah,
no, definitely. What was the challenges that you faced in 2012? Like why did you suck? Like what was the reason?
Yeah, so when I was an amateur, I rode a lot, you know, and I trained kinda, you know, like throwing some weights around, but I was having success at and doing what I thought I needed to do to have success, minimal, you know. And in 2011 I went pro Supercross and I was like, yeah, I mean, as long as I ride enough and I do somewhat, you know, and it just wasn't enough, you know. And I didn't understand the whole training aspect. I didn't understand that you have to build a base. I didn't understand that you have to like, it's a whole like process to developing obviously your body and being able to be ready for the season, you know, week in and week out. And for me, I've come to realize that I can be the best, but I realized that maybe my progression isn't as fast as other people, you know. So I really had to figure out how to maximize every opportunity I could to progress, you know, as far as riding goes. And I knew that if I did that year in and year out, I could be at the level of the top guys. And I didn't realize that year, you know. I didn't realize that I needed to work hard and stuff like that. I thought I was going to be able to wing it and do like I was in, you know, amateur days, but that wasn't the case. But luckily I was able to figure out and realize that and change it, you know. And I knew that they saw that in me to be able to, you know, have that realization. Because at first they kept telling me, they're like, it's in your head, man. You could ride good and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm just unfit. Like that's just the reality of it. They're like,
that's kind
of
on.
A sports psychologist. Yeah, they're like, do you need to see a sports psychologist? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure my brain's okay. I just don't think I rode my bicycle enough, you know? And that was about it.
Dude, that must be the worst feeling too, because that's not a quick fix.
It is not. And like I was unfit showing up to round one of outdoors that year. And I just knew that like I had to start from ground one and I needed to prove myself enough in outdoors to be able to get a ride. I didn't care if it was for free. I think Bobby paid me $40,000 the next year, you know, and to pay a trainer to do all that stuff is really, really tough off $40,000, you know? And that second year in 2012, I didn't have much money. I had this little Ford Transit. Like, I made a lot of money through amateurs. I didn't really understand like money management necessarily, you know? So like we spent a lot of money on racing. But I also, you know, was maybe not as, you know, frugal with my money to a certain extent. I was, but I wasn't. So I was living off 40 grand, and I wanted to pay a trainer. I wanted to, you know, ride and still be able to make it. But 40 grand in California don't go that far.
No.
And, Austin Politelli and his family, they let me, put up a curtain in their kitchen, and it was like a curtain, and, I had my bed and shit all set up in their kitchen just so I could save some money to be able to pay trainer and stuff like that.
Damn,
and,
dude.
Yeah, that was kind of a, you know what, like as shitty as it was going through that, I kind of missed the simpleness of it, you know, because it gets, yeah, there's two ends of the spectrum. You get to the point where I'm at right now, and there's a lot more like BS and stuff like that. And at that point, I was worried about making my van payment, making rent, paying my trainer, and eating. And that was it, you know? And it was, dude, that kitchen little room that I had set up wasn't such a bad thing. And it was a cool point in my life, even though it wasn't like the success that you dreamed of, you know? But, it was cool.
I definitely, man, I completely agree. Like I told some stories, somewhere. I did a podcast with someone the other day. Maybe I was talking about it on there, but just the struggle, bro, that we had. I was at Jack's actually, and we're at Miller's place, and he has this young dude, Billy Van, that hangs with him and rides with him and stuff. And we were talking about America. And like kind of how tough we had it, and Jack saying like how tough he had it in the start. And I was like, dude, I spent like literally months in California with no electricity at my house. Like I just didn't, when the lights went off, like when the sun went down, like the lights went off. Like I just did not have money to pay the electricity bill. And I didn't eat. Like I didn't go eat anywhere. I literally just ate top ramen. And then I had multiple flights where I was straight hustling to get my bags on the plane. Because if they asked me like with excess money, like with the excess baggage, I just didn't have the money to pay for the excess baggage. So it's like, hey, I just filmed at Geneva Supercross, and if they ask for fucking excess baggage, I'm sleeping in Switzerland. Like it just is what it is. And as fucked up as it is, I mean, right now, like we're doing pretty good, and there's employees, there's a studio in the US, there's a studio in Europe. I got apartment. It's like there is so much shit to manage that it feels like doing the podcast itself is like the least thing that I put my attention to, because there's just so much other bullshit going on. It's like, fuck, it is kind of simple when like all you're hustling to do is just get your electricity bill paid.
Dude, that's how it is. Even like, just even like Team Fried right now, I thought it was just going to be making videos and drawing and putting it on t-shirts. But dude, I find myself on a Wednesday going to Fashion District in LA trying to find cheaper t-shirts and stuff like that to make the business, you know, kind of boom a little bit. And I'm like, damn, I just want to do the fun shit, you know, but it's not always that easy. So, but once it helps you grow and makes you learn about other industries and stuff like that, because I'm sure you had no idea that this was going to be as big as it was.
No.
You know, I remember being at OzX in, what was that, 2017, and that was kind of like your start. Like that was, it really was. But now you like it's popping, but the process is pretty cool. But then once you get here, you're like, damn, this is a lot of shit to handle. You look around and you're like, ooh, I'm kind of in over my head, but I guess I got to keep going now because it seems successful.
Yeah, dude.
Kind of like, dude, sometimes I feel that way about my career. I'm like, sometimes I was like, I wanted to get to this point and make this money and be this good. And then it just kind of starts becoming bigger, and you're like, oh, damn, I guess I'm here. I might as well keep going, you know?
Yeah. Dude, 100%. Sam always says, it's like my favorite quote is, bite off more than you can chew and chew like fuck.
Yeah, exactly. I like that.
That's pretty much what it is. But I think that it's just to have that perspective. It's like if anyone that's listening right now like isn't where they want to be, it's like just keep going through it. And at some point, you'll look back at those struggles, like you said, with the curtain of that kitchen apartment, and you'll miss those struggles. Like, dude, I remember we went to dinner once when you just moved to Claremont, and we were joking about you'd been there for like 6 months, you didn't have a bed frame, and your TV was on the TV box. And it had been like that for months. You'd already won a Supercross championship, you're a millionaire, and like that's how you were living. And it's just like, I don't know, sometimes it just seems like simple is better.
Dude, it's all I needed at the time. And for me, as furniture wasn't important, I had other stuff going on. But it's kind of nice, you know, to be honest. Like, I remember that house because that was my first house I bought in Claremont, and you know that I had like paper shades. I was like, damn, those shades are really expensive. I got them priced out, and I was like, let's wait a little bit. And but it's funny things like that. It's like we'll spend thousands of dollars. Like, dude, I was paying Aldon so much money to train me, but like I'm spending that money because that was important to me. But shades, nah, like it's too expensive. So it's kind of funny where you spend money. Like, I even catch myself. I have like this. I would be like trying to find the cheapest gas and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's funny how your brain works sometimes.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk to you about some money stuff later, because we had a conversation at that dinner in particular, like it kind of stemmed off that about money, and you had like this whole thing like planned out. We'll talk about that shit later on. But how were you mentally in that 2011 season when you were struggling that bad? Like, did you fully doubt the fact that you could actually do it? Was there ever any of that?
I fully doubted if I actually wanted to take on the task of all that was needed to do it, you know? And that's a tough thing, because I knew, like, dude, you need to train, you really need to live it. You have to live it. And 16 years old, you know, I was 17 by then, but watching your friends kind of live like a little carefree lifestyle, you know, they're getting jobs and they're kind of partying and stuff like that. It seemed so much simpler and kind of fun at the time. And I was like, I told myself in 2011, I'm like, I'm going to try my butt off this summer. If I get a ride, then I'll keep going, you know? But I was straight up looking at like figuring out what was the next avenue for sure, because I didn't really know if I wanted to be a privateer. Because I was like, that, especially being young in a privateer, that's a whole, I didn't have a platform. Like, I had fans from like what I was like an amateur, but it's not like people were going to give me a good budget to run a good privateer program. So that was tough for me, but it was just me having to come to terms with wanting to actually do the work and stuff like that. And now I do the work and I do everything that I'm supposed to. And if I take a week off, I'm like, oh, I need a week off. And then I take that week off, I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I want to go, like, you know, and I hate to be the person, I hate posting about like how hard I work and stuff like that. But it's weird nowadays because I actually enjoy like cycling and gym and stuff like that, because I've done it for going on like 13 years, that it's like kind of just a part of my life. And if I don't do it, it feels like something's missing, you know? So it's kind of, I've adapted. But if you'd have told me back then that I enjoyed cycling right now, I'd be like, you are fucking crazy, you know?
I get it. Dude, it's funny. Like, I feel like there's a moment in most people that like end up kind of achieving whatever they set out to do, where you just kind of like exactly what you said, where it's like you just kind of realize how much work it's going to take, and then you just accept it. You're just like, oh, fuck. Yeah. All right. I guess it is what it is.
It's funny though, because like right now I train with Jet Reynolds. He works with Brock. Poor guy, he keeps just getting injured, but he'll bounce back. He'll be good. But like I train with those guys, and I love riding with the PC guys because they have so much youth and they're so just want to be successful, you know. So they're just young, and it keeps me excited, because I feel like sometimes like when I was at Aldon's, it was like a bunch of grumpy old guys, you know. It was like Zach, Marvin, Dunge, Not that they were good to train with and stuff like that, but you could tell they had an aspect of all of us that were somewhat jaded, you know?
Yeah.
And they were kind of like a little bit like a little grumpy a little bit some days, but these kids just show up every day and they send it, you know. And like I ride with like McAdoo and all those kids, but I always tell Jet when we're on the road ride, I'm like, dude, just think you got 12 more years of this shit. I just like, and I know he hates it. I'm just like talking crap to him. I'm like, dude, you just got 12 more years of this. And he thinks it's funny.
Yeah,
try and
dude.
make it light.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's so hard. It'd be so hard to have the perspective though. Like Casey Stoner retires at 27, millions of dollars, super successful, great wife, great family. If you fucking put in the work, like there's just not many opportunities that you can get as a young person to go, damn, dude, by the time I'm 30, like I could be retired and I could just be doing what I want to be doing. And I think that it'd be so hard on those road rides when you're like just fucking getting dropped. You've got a headwind. You're in the middle of nowhere. You've run out of water. It's like to have that perspective. But I mean, at some point you'll be 30. And at some point, you know, you're either going to look back.
And it goes by in a blink of an eye.
Crazy quick, huh?
Yeah. Like, dude, I remember some of those times, like my first year at Aldon's and we were going through boot camp, and I would be like, we'd do the road ride and I would have to ride up the hill by his house to my apartment. And, dude, some days I wouldn't even go. I would just go to his house and have someone pick me up. Cause it's just like, and to be able to be like, yeah, you just got to do this. And like, it's going to be good for you. You're like, what? It's just crazy. But now you get to that point where you're 30. I'm 29 right now. I turn 30 next year. And there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. Yeah. And that's it's a coming of age thing, I guess you could say. And I wouldn't necessarily say the clock's ticking, but you really want to enjoy it for as long as you can, you know? Some people really want to work hard and retire early, you know? And at one point I thought I was maybe one of those guys, but now I'm like the actual process, I'm enjoying it more than I ever have. Yeah. And that's something I never thought I would be like, that guy. And I could have never, like those few years at Aldon, I'm like, dude, I can only handle this for one more year. year. And then shoot, it's almost 8-9 years later. And, man, I'm enjoying it just as much as anything. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. So I'm glad I've made it to this point because it feels pretty damn cool. Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you think with this attitude, because I remember you being pretty miserable at Aldon's, like even just being in Claremont. Yeah. Do you think, like, you're probably not going to, but do you think you could go back and like enjoy that program now just with like a fresh perspective and like having kind of been through it? Or is it just something that you just don't think you could enjoy it again?
I needed time away. I really did. And I stopped working with Aldon, but my relationship was never bad with him. And right now I could go back and I could. But at that point, it wore on me so hard. Not only did like maybe like my success kind of wear on me, the training wore on me, managing relationships within Aldon's facility with all the guys and stuff like that. Because like, dude, it's tough because you want to show up to the track and you want to be able to be vulnerable, you know, and it's hard to be vulnerable when you got all of this stuff around you. And good on Aldon because he really built an amazing, you know, facility, and you know, he's probably making kick-ass money. And I love Aldon though, because he'll always tell you, he'll be like he's broke, but he ain't broke. But the thing is he's done a great job, and that's one thing that I've never knocked him for. I'm like, bro, you're running a business, I'm running a business. I'm trying to ask Husky for as much money as I could get. You're trying to ask me for as much money as I could get. Respect, you know? But I needed a little bit of time away, and I stopped working with him. And then last summer, it was cool because I got hurt, but I came back and rode for 2 months. And I rode at Aldon's with him, you know, and I was doing motos with all the guys and everything like that. And I really think that it wouldn't be that hard for me to go back into it just because I know like my base is good and the suffering wouldn't be as bad as it was when I was younger. And this is crazy, but I think within Aldon's program, you kind of got to manage yourself, because the hard part is you're cycling with like 4 guys who they all want to be the strongest, and they want to have, it's your egos, you know? And for me, I think that I understand now that some days I would just let them have it, you know? But at some points when I was like cycling and stuff like that, you'd be like wanting to drop them and stuff like that. I'd be like, Marv beat me last weekend. Like, I'm going to make you suffer on this road ride. And trust me, I never made him suffer. I was not that strong because I wasn't into cycling. Like, and then when like Zach came along, oh dude, that dude just loves road biking. I'm like, bro, just fucking chill. One day, give us one day a week. But, it was tough for me. And then being away from it, I feel like I could go back and I could manage it way better and enjoy it. But the hard part for me was I didn't really enjoy living in Florida too. Yeah. And I'm a West Coast kid. I'm from the West Coast. I grew up in New Mexico, and we would race in California, you know? So I really enjoy it out here. So I feel like right now my happiness is here. Yeah. And that's like a big part of it. Because I don't think you're progressing if you're not that happy. You know, you can only be miserable for so many years. Yeah. And I think being close to my family and having my whole setup here is really good for me.
Yeah, dude. Nah, 100%. Man, that's so funny what you said about, like, you've got to just accept some days that you've just got to not be the man on a road ride, or like it's just all ego. Because I know for me with training, like I go to training every night and I'm like fucked. Like, I'm so fucked from just daily, just being in the daily grind of training like that. And then you get someone that you have to roll, and I'm just looking at that guy. I'm like, I fucking don't want to beat you, but like I have to, like if I go hard, I'm going to be ruined at the end of this. And it's like, I'm just doing this thing in my head, like just go easy. Like you don't have to beat this dude. You don't have to beat this dude. And it's just like that fucking switch to have that control of your own ego, to just like manage yourself and not blow yourself out over fucking nothing. Like literally just your ego. It's so hard to do, man.
It is. It really is. And like, dude, when I was there, sometimes I'm like, I wish I would have just tried less on the road ride this morning, just so I could put more of my ego into my riding, and just effort. And it's crazy. And dude, it's kind of funny too, because like even some of my more successful years, I was such a pain in the ass there. I know that for a fact, because like, dude, 18 when I was winning my championship, I was like, dude, the road rides are almost like not too gnarly for me, and I could hang on, but I just felt like it was unproductive for me, just mentally. And I still did the same amount of time, you know, but dude, there were some days, honestly, right now, I feel like the best on my bicycle. So like no big flex or nothing, but back then, like 2018, I was winning my championship, and I'd be so fired up on the road ride. There was a couple days where I just turn around. They would be going and they'd be like, where'd Jason go? I just fuck it. And it did not go over well. It did not go over well at all. But
dude, I fucking love
it's
that.
Live and learn type of stuff.
I think that Aldon's probably got a bit of a bad rap lately. I think it's probably like undeserved. I mean, he went on such a crazy run. Like, what kind of other run can you go on that's like what he did in the sport? And then, you know, riders leave, and then it's like every time a rider leaves, everyone's just straight like kind of jumping on Aldon. But it's like, I guess it's just he's built a crazy successful thing, and like you said, like he's running a business there. And I mean, there just is a lifespan on like that type of training, I guess. And I think, you know, maybe you've got to be in a certain headspace, because like for me, right, like with this, the first probably 3 and a bit years of this, like I was suffering in that same way. It's like, you know, you didn't want to be in Florida, you didn't want to be on the road bike. Like, dude, I had times in this where if I heard my fucking voice one more time, like I was just gonna fucking kill myself. Like I was trying to edit podcasts on mute. Like it was such a, like I was suffering to do this, but it was the only way. And my apartment was a piece of shit. Like I just had one mattress on the floor, no TV, a desk, and I was literally just taking my computer from the office to home, sometimes sleeping on the floor. Like there's just a level of suffering that I think it takes to kind of like get to a certain level. But you are right. Like there's only so long you can suffer in that way before you need to like balance it out, which I guess is kind of what you're saying with like, I need to be back in California. I have to be happy. Like I can't just suffer forever.
Yeah, it's tough, but like whether Aldon gets flack or anything like that, the dude is proven, you know? And the thing is that's tough, I think, for him right now is people used to go to him with a mindset to win. You know what I'm saying? And they would do whatever it took, and he's very stubborn, and he makes sure you do everything you can to, you know, get the job done, and it's his way. And then now it's like, I feel like some people believe that there's other ways to do it, which it's hard not to believe that. You know, you see Eli Tomac's success. He's done everything by himself. You see these guys that leave Aldon and have success. So it puts that thought into guys that are there in their head, you know. And it used to be you go to Aldon and you win, you know. And
with no doubt.
But I still believe that if you go to Aldon's and you put your heart into it and you believe that you are doing the right thing, you will show up to Anaheim 1 and you will be a menace to everyone for 18 rounds of Supercross. That's just a fact, you know? And if people got past the noise on the outside and just went to his program and fully believed in it, it's just, it's proven. And like, if I'm being honest, I don't believe that everything he does is correct, you know? But if you believe in it, you will be a menace. You will be winning races and you'll be doing good, you know? So that's that's just how it is. And I think it has a lot to do with your belief in him. And I think that people have been taking that away, you know?
Yeah.
They've been trying to take it away for years, saying, you know, like, oh, his guys are doing PEDs or like doing this and that. And I've been in that thing, and you be working hard, you know? Yeah. So,
you're probably like the Aldon poster boy for not doing PEDs because you ain't exactly fucking shredded, bro.
Yeah, dude, I know, dude. I always tell my wife, Kenzie, this. I'm like, I go to the gym so much. I'm like, why don't I look ripped? Like, I gotta be like, what's wrong with me? Like, dude, it's terrible. I mean, I'm skinny, but that's about all I got going for me. But I like kind of got abs, but I really got to watch my diet if I want some clean abs, you know? But dude, then you see some of these guys next to me, like, dude, Roxon, dude looks ripped. He looks like
chiseled, bro.
Yeah. And I'm like, he's fitter than me. like if you just look at him, you know, I'm like, I've been doing this much and he looks like that. Like, was he doing more than me? You're just confused, but I guess I ain't got the genes. I got those
UNAC, bro. UNAC.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of us. Like, I always saw Zach, and Zach always just never looked that fit, but he was a beast. I tell you that much.
Yeah, dude. No, I find that shit funny. So do you think that you could have won the championship in 18, like not on Aldon's program? Like, was it super instrumental into you getting to the level that you're at now?
Yeah, I will say after 2017, I was really, really having a hard time with the whole program over there and stuff like that. And in that off season before 18, I spent a lot of it in California. And I know that was not like a big thing. That didn't
go down well, huh?
And it was kind of like frowned upon. But I was able, and I really was like, I was kind of focusing on really enjoying myself. I was trying to bring back a level of enjoyment to it that I thought was going to help me be happy and progress. And I was able to come to OzX. I was doing that race. I did Geneva. And those are kind of like, it's kind of a little vacation, you know? Yeah. And it's, the races are professional and they're awesome. But for us to just be able to get away from what we're doing in the week, that was nice to do that type of stuff. And then I showed up to the first round and I was like, I felt ready, you know? And then I went back to Florida during the East Coast, and it was still wearing on me, just the whole program and everything. But yeah, I think that the level of fitness that I had from years past and even that year and stuff like that, I think that the work ethic that, you know, obviously if you leave Aldon's, you don't do less. You know, you always have that, you have that like thing in the back of your head, like this is what I did for this success. So I move it around, but I still even to this day have a very similar program, you know. I ride the same days and stuff like that. But I think if I didn't work with him, I would have still done really well, maybe still won. But I think that championship came from the previous 3 years of work. More so than that year, you know, and the way my brain worked and how much heart I put into my riding and everything.
Yeah. So you said before about like vulnerability at the track. So it's like you want to be able to show when you're struggling, almost like you want to be able to wear your heart on your sleeve a little bit more and not have to feel like people are going to use that against you in a way. Like, is that kind of the feeling?
Well, it's tough because, you know, at that point I was racing Marvin for the championship, and Marvin was the guy training right next to me at Aldon's. So if you showed any weakness in that, had to be a little bit of confidence towards him, you know? And even if it wasn't, in my head, I felt like it was. And that's nothing personal. And the hard part is like that stuff gets in between, you know, me and Marv being friends or even thinking about being friends, because it's just tough, you know. Dude, there's a lot on the line. We dream about being a Supercross champion our whole life. And to be next to the guy that's challenging you and you're supposed to do motos and you're showing him everything you got. In 18, I maybe went about this kind of like an asshole, but I was like, I ain't fucking riding with him. Like, I was just straight up, you know. And now I think about it. Well, I won the championship, so we're pumped on that. But if I would have ridden with him and not won the championship, I'd have been like, fuck, you know. But
really?
So yeah, it just wears on you, you know.
So did you like go to them and say like, hey, we got to structure this shit different. I ain't doing motos with him. I'll do motos with him, and him, but not him.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I told Aldon that. Yeah, but it was still it sucked though, because me and Marv still had to go to the gym together. We had to do road rides together. So it was still just it was what it was, but I knew how much was on the line, and I knew if I didn't say that feeling and I held that feeling in, I wasn't being honest with myself. So yeah, it's tough, but at the same time, I'm like, I wouldn't have changed it, you know?
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Marvin. Dude, trust me, that guy puts his heart into his riding, and he deserves every bit of success he gets.
And
you know?
probably one of the nicest dudes ever.
Yeah, he really is nice. And it's weird right now because like I see Marvin on the line, and it's kind of weird, but we have like this little bit of banter to where I feel like we're cool with each other, you know? And that's a cool thing, you know? I don't know if he feels the same way, but I kind of feel that a little bit, but but that whole little series, that 2018 one, was tough for me, and that wore on me for years past.
Yeah. So what was it about riding with him that made you like, what was the edge that felt like you were giving up if you rode with him?
Okay, so I read this book, and it was about overspeeding, and it's a process of training, and like baseballers use this, and they basically, obviously, when they are hitting balls in the batting cage, they turn the speed up, so they're used to hitting it at like fucking 105, and the pitchers be pitching it at like 8 miles an hour. So I was like, well, if I'm faster than him, I'm teaching him how to be as fast as me, you know? And that's what Aldon's whole new process is right now. And I feel like once the top guys get to a certain level, they're very similar, you know? So to win, I feel like it's more of like a chess match in a sense, you know? Like you're just like, you're trying to figure each other out, but you really are the same speed. And I'm like, I just want to be better all the time, and I don't want to help him be any faster than what he is. Because if I'm faster one day and I teach him how to be as fast as me, because you can really learn a lot from following a guy. I was like, I don't want to do that. Like that's just another added stress that I could eliminate from my my head. So I think that was a big reason, and that's what I thought. Yeah.
Dude, it's a fucking ball of play though, like, and to have the confidence in yourself. And it's like, I mean, I say it all the time. Like, I think Coop won those 2 championships that Coop won. Like, he won that off big dick energy. It's just like, that's a thing in sport. Like, you think Tom Brady is going to do shit on the field or like in the practice room or with the coaching staff that's like not about Tom Brady. Like, unfortunately, that's the ego that needs to go into racing to like be successful. But then it becomes a balancing act of like, if you go super far to the right of like ego fucking centric and I'm like me, then you've kind of got to be able to balance that out, because this dude is a fucking dick. But it's like, it sort of is what it is when it comes to being the top tier dude in a sport. You kind of just got to like make those calls that are for you and sort of fuck everybody else in a sense.
Coop kind of cracks me up, because he be constantly just trying to play like these. I mean, I think he's actually kind of calmed down a little bit with it, but those years where he was like 2019, he was like, he's cutthroat. He really is cutthroat, ruthless. And he will say anything. Like I remember being at Salt Lake, and he got second in the championship behind Tomac, but he would be saying some shit on the line all the time, and I was like, this guy is kind of funny. Like, and it's funny because like for me, I'm like I think it's funny. Like, I think a lot of other guys like get really cracked up
rattled
at it,
by it.
And rattled or not, I mean, he still kicked my ass a lot of those nights when he was talking crap, so I can't really say anything, but I thought it was pretty funny.
So did you, what was the, didn't you and Coop like start something back in the day? Like what was like before, am I cooking it on something? You and Coop were like involved in something together for a bit, weren't you? Like some filming and shit, or I'm trying to remember.
No. There's this thing called like Evergood that Shirky used to do. That was Shirky's deal. Yeah, and he would do like these. They're called Innermost. They were like little episodes on there. So, but that was Shirky's deal.
I thought for some reason you and Coop were like
film.
Yeah, I thought you and Coop were sort of like in on that, but for some reason.
Not very much. I mean, dude, Shirky and all them would stay at my house the whole time they were doing it, so that's how I knew a lot about it. But that was about as far as it went.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, so I guess like is there even a point too where like the personality sort of comes into it to where like, because I know from you like you kind of are like a hard on your sleeve sort of dude, to where it probably not, I don't want to say like emotional, but there's definitely like a lot of different sides to you. Like I know other guys that they're just like really one dimensional. There's not like, you sort of, if you see one side of them, you've kind of like seen all of their sides. Or I know with you, there's like a lot of different sides to your personality, and you're a guy that's like super thoughtful, and then you're a guy that's real caring at times as well. It's like it's a complex kind of deal. And it's like, if you go to a place and you have to just be like this one guy, like you have to just live in like that one lane of like, I got to be the alpha, I got to be the alpha, I got to be the alpha. When you're a guy that, if you're just an alpha, that's like just your personality, it's fucking sweet. Like, do your thing. But if you're a guy like yourself that's got these different sides to your personality, does that kind of wear on you as well? That's almost like you just can't be yourself in a way.
Dude, it's really tough. I remember training with Dunge a lot, and I feel Dunge was one of the most one-dimensional human beings I've ever met. Like, and I don't know him past his career, but whenever he was in his career, that is all he thought about. To everything, that was everything. And I would be there, and I'd be like, oh, I wish I could be like that, but I have so many different interests and stuff like that, and And sometimes I think that I am an alpha in some senses, and sometimes I am definitely not, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, I've been way better at managing that, you know, like being able to, but for a while there, it was really confusing to me, not to be which person I am, but like, I'd be joking around and then I'd have to turn on serious mode and go to the line. It was really tough for me to kind of do that because it's tough. Like I'm growing up and like a dude, if I'm being honest, I really sometimes when I was like say 22, 23, you know, I wanted to go out and party, you know, and but I knew if I was more one dimensional, I'd only care about going to sleep and going to the race, you know. But that was who I am, you know. I mean, nowadays I'm older, I got my stuff more in line, but during those eras it was really hard for me and I was battling myself on both ends, you know. But you can't have both, you know. Even like sometimes too, like I know I went to Cowie and I think they were very surprised on like how I am, I think they weren't expecting me to be as, you know, serious on it as I am. Yeah. Just because like I do, like if you would look at my Instagram, maybe not now, but like of years previous, like you would see that I got a lot going on, you know, and that's kind of like an introduction to my brain. And that's like, whether it's team fried or whether it's like making little videos or anything like that, you could tell that, it's like it looks like it's hard to pin me down and make me do you know this stuff every single day, but I'm really good now about, you know, juggling it, you know, work's work, and I'm pretty good at detaching from that and then going into, you know, my little Tom introducing me to a new video or like watching YouTube or anything like that, like being creative. Like I think I'm good at managing that, but for a while there it was really, really tough for me. And I saw Dungeon, I was so jealous. I was like, man, I wish I was only interested in that one thing, but I have so much other things going on in my brain and I can't, like, it's like sometimes it's like you see on the wall and it's like, don't push this button, and I'm just like, oh, I fucking want to push it, you know. And that's kind of how I was, but it's I'm lucky as well that I was able to make those mistakes, so I don't resent myself too much on not being able to live life to a certain extent. Trust me, I had to tone it back a little bit, but I was able to do, I think, pretty much everything a normal human would do, you know, while still being able to race and have a career. And with that too, I think I've been able to make mistakes and have a crew around me like Bobby to be like, we'll let that slide, which is good, you know, because I mean, it's working out.
Well, I mean, that's sort of where I was going to go next, man, is like, it's like, should there be a little bit more room for people to, you know, you have a guy like Bobby that's just a dude that had your back. Like that's I guess family lines can get blurred a little bit if like everyone treats everyone like family. Like there definitely has to be a point where it's like, nah, dude, I'm your fucking boss. But it's like, I mean, I even think that with, you know, the way that I try and run shit here, it's like if the boys want to ride, if like people want to go do shit, like people are going to live their life. Like you got to kind of be who you are, and you got to like, you can't kind of like chain people down because you're not going to get the best out of them, and then you're not going to get that kind of like longevity. So it's like, I don't know, does there need to be a little bit more room for people to, you know, like, dude, when Sexton was on here, he was like, I mean, I don't think Sexton knows like the extent that partying can go, but it's like, he was like, he's like saying like, oh yeah, I party. Like there was this real hesitance that he had to even admit like, I did some form of partying in the off season. It's like, dude, you're a good looking 20-something-year-old kid that's making fucking bank. There'd be that many chicks that would want, like, there's a certain amount of like exploration that you have to do to just see, you know, like what's available in life. I mean, some dudes aren't drawn to that, but if you are, it's like, fuck man, that's a punishing thing to have to just like stifle. There is ways where you can do it without being a complete fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah, there is ways you can do it without being a fuck up, but like it's tough, you know, and sometimes I think about this. Like right now I'm in a good spot, and I feel like I still have a lot more race wins in me and everything like that. But I feel like you maybe do give up a little bit. Like if you want to go explore or whatever, you know, different avenues of life and stuff like that. This career is really, really tough. And I feel like you do give up a little bit, you know? And going through it, like I know like 100%, like I've given up, you know, results or whatever it is. But I've always showed up, and I've always gave it my all and everything like that. And I'm probably I think my latter years are going to be the best ever because, you know, not to say I got it out of my system, but I feel like I'm so content with where I'm at right now that I don't need to like kind of do that stuff anymore. Like I experienced it, and I really enjoy my job and stuff like that. But I wonder is like, are people that go through this career, they never explore, and by the time they retire, they have a family and kids. Do they have that door that hasn't been opened inside of their brain to be able to explore? Do they resent themselves for that? You know? And that's something I'll never have to deal with. Maybe they have 40 wins like stacked up, but do they feel like personally, do they feel like they missed out on that, you know? And would they maybe give up a little bit of those wins to be able to be like, you know, I saw it, you know, and I didn't like it. But then they're like, oh, what if they really liked it? And they just want to keep going back for more. Dude, they're just like, yeah, bottles on me.
Well, I mean, I was that guy. Like, I definitely, I'll admit straight up, like there was a period of time where like when I was in the US, a big part of my identity was around the fact that like people knew that I could go to a bar or an after party, and like I was a dude that you should hang around because like there's gonna be girls that are hanging around. I thought that was cool. It made me feel really good. Like I won't lie about it. Now as a 33-year-old man, I can look back and be like, that's kind of fucking lame, you know, like to be that guy. But like I kind of had to go through that. I was super young. I was in a different country, and I always had it in my head that I did not want to like get married and have kids and do all that without just doing some like crazy shit. Like imagine like, and this might sound fully retarded, but it's like I always wanted to have a threesome. Like I didn't know that I could have ever got married and like had threesomes coming up on Pornhub and like be like, man, I wonder how that feels, you know. But then you're like looking at your wife and be like, fuck, you're the reason I can't have this thing. And it's like, I don't know, does that sound lame to people? Probably. Like, and there's probably people that's like not a thing for them, but I know there's a lot of people where that is a thing for them, and it's like they need to experience those things or they're gonna have exactly what you said, like that unopened door. So it's like, yeah, man, I'm right there with you. Like I'm in that same camp.
And that's a tough battle to have with yourself. Just like, dude, we go through, like I said, we go through puberty and we're pro. You know, there's no college era. There's none of that. So, it's a tough thing. And like, it's crazy. Cause I always think about this is like, do humans really do what they want to do? You know, cause like sometimes I feel like if you're like really do what you want to do, you wake up and you just like, all right, I'm going to go do this. Like, for us, like we've never had, even like right now, we don't have weekends like that. Like we wake up on Sunday, we go to the airport. Like we don't really have that at all, you know? And that's something you just gotta like, you never get that until maybe you retire, you know? So, it's tough. There's all those unopened doors, you know, but that's what you give up, you know, to be, you know, a top level guy. And some give up more and some give up less, but it doesn't necessarily mean giving up. I think that like I'm successful, you know, and I think I have a good career, and I think I have way better stuff to go on, and I'm completely content at what I was able to experience. But now I'm like, I just want to be creative, do team fried, race dirt bikes, do supercross and motocross, and I don't want that to end. I got my wife. That's awesome. I got Tom and Matt. They're my friends, and I'm like, shit is good right now. I don't feel the need to go party and stuff like that. Although there is gonna be some weekends that me and my wife are probably gonna go get, turned up a little bit. Hit the local Chili's, get some 2-for-1 drinks, maybe some chips and salsa, go crazy. But that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm lucky that I was able to experience a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think
while not fucking up my career.
Yeah. And there's people that have done it and they've fucked up their career, and that's like, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that too, like we would both know guys that have retired that like literally they just don't know who they are. They don't have social skills.
Yeah.
They don't. So it's sort of like you could take the full serious like moto fucking journalistic approach to this and be like, well, it's about fucking winning and you get paid to fucking win, bro. Like you could be that guy, but then it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for like a period of time, and it's like, yes, you can win, and yes, you can be set up, and I agree that they're all good things to be super successful, to have shit taken care of forever. But it's like, okay, you also should want to have social skills, and you should also, want to have been put in some like kind of weird experiences. And I mean, some of the fucking best friends that I've got are people that I've been like fucked up with at 3 a.m. and like barely hanging on. And then you've got those people that are like bringing you through. Like you kind of learn a lot about yourself, and you don't need to get fucked up to learn about that, but just to do these like crazy experiences. And if you go through these experiences with, people, it can create these great friendships. You learn a lot about like who you are, and then you can learn a lot about like, I've kind of done that now. I've kind of moved on from here. And so I think it's a bit more valuable than what people maybe make it out for. And for some people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's just learning about yourself. That's all it is, and what you like and what you don't like and stuff like that. Because if you don't experience it, you'll never know if you don't like it, and we, a lot of guys aren't going to be able to, but I think that's something that people should keep in mind sometimes whenever they go about living life, because you only got one of them.
Yeah, dude, it goes by quick.
It does. I turn 30 next year. I'm so like bummed about that. I'm like, damn, dude, it's gone by so quick. I'm an old guy in the class now. But I'm like, shit, I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
Nah, man, I don't think. I think you've found such a good groove as well with like just where you're at. I think the monster thing's cool. The Cowie thing's obviously working. The Team Fried thing's cool. Like, yeah, what you just described, like you've kind of got your people around you, and it's it just seems like you've kind of like figured out like where you're at, and it's like, dude, I don't know, that's almost like the start of something in a way, like when you kind of have your life semi dialed in, it's sort of, you might be the old guy, but it's like you're kind of just now got shit figured out, so it's like, okay, what can you do with this like start, like you're at a starting point now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I say that all the time. Is I'm 29 right now, but as a racer and stuff, I still feel really young. Like I just like, not that I just got it figured out, but I mean, dude, I won a Supercross championship, but I personally didn't have it figured out when I did that.
Yeah, you weren't on top of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not on top of shit, but like now I feel like my life is very figured out and stuff like that. But luckily I got everything set up around me, because the weekends are hectic. I mean, dude, the last 3 weekends for me have not gone that good, but I'm able to come home and luckily with the team and everything, I'm able to somewhat push my mentality onto them, and they're very cool with everything that's going on, and it helps you stay out of the BS a little bit. It's not always cool seeing it, but my whole life in general is really nice right now, so I'm trying to keep it that way.
So I'm trying to think about where we should go next, because there's so much shit I want to talk to you about, but I guess like let's just go to New Mexico for a bit, and just maybe there's like a base here we can kind of uncover a little bit. Like, what was it like for you growing up? Because I mean, there's a lot of cool stories about Big Mike being like the man in the pits. Like, if you wanted to go and have a beer and like have a laugh and a good time, then it's like you'd go to the Anderson pit in the amateur days, and it's like, I mean, all right, you got Eli Tomac and Jason Anderson. Like, that's like John Tomac, mountain bike legend, fucking grinderholic.
Dude,
his mum was an athlete. His brother's in the Air Force, like living in a ranch in Colorado, eating elk meat. And then you got Jason Anderson, New Mexico, Big Mike in the pits, offering everyone beers. Like, okay, I can see why there's a contrast in styles at the pro level.
Yeah, it's definitely a product of your environment, I guess you could say. But growing up in New Mexico was really cool. Like, I always grew up and I always felt like I was missing out a little bit because I saw all these guys at MTF. Eli always had his own track at his house, and me and my dad would just literally go to the desert and just ride these tracks. Like, we had this one place called the Gravel Pit, and it was just some shitty desert track, and I always try to convince them into making me go to, like, I saw them Winter Ams in Florida were huge with Treadle, and Barsha was at MTF, and I was like, I felt like I was missing out. But now that I look back on it, I'm so thankful that I didn't really do too much of that stuff, because I think I was able to learn a lot, just going to school and stuff like that. That was really cool. So I would say, as far as my upbringing, I was kind of one of the more normal ones. I mean, trust me, it's not fully normal. I mean, we were all prodigies at 8 years old, so you can't be completely normal, but they kept it real for the most part. And my dad's always kept it real. He dude, when I raced and stuff, he was never hard on me. He would be like, I do get 15th, and he'd be like, dude, that was sick, And then I had my grandma and grandpa, they'd be taking me around because my parents had to work, so my grandma and grandpa would take me around, and it was cool. It was we'd be going to races in California, leaving on Friday night, driving back Sunday night to get to school on Monday. So it was very somewhat kind of they're very blue collar, kind of and that's something that I'm kind of proud of. It's not like it's not like they're John Tomac, world mountain bike champion or anything like that. But my mom's a teacher, my dad works on the railroad, and they still keep it 100 right now. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah, and I think it explains a lot about the way that you want to keep a close-knit crew, and that you want to feel like you always have a family around you. Because I mean, I'm from, I guess, similar background of just both super blue collar parents, and it was just tight. Even to this day, me and my brother, I do everything with my little brother, and I just I don't know another way to do things than family. And I think that in moto, it's probably overlooked to a point that a lot of families break down. To get to the level that you got to in motocross, there's not that many families that are super tight. And I think that's why you see guys that kind of have the man friend and the agent and the they kind of create this little group around them, because family's not that important, and it feels a little bit everything feels businessy within the environment. Whereas whenever it's around you, it's real family. It feels there's a lot of just love, banter, but even the harder the banter, the deeper the love in a way. But it's it just feels that's kind of your vibe. You have to have that sort of family feel around you.
Yeah. If I'm being honest, as far as the family aspect goes with moto, it gets real not good sometimes. Dude, you see a lot of sad shit, and you probably know about a lot of it. And that sucks. And I'm really, really thankful that me and my family, we're good. We love each other. Dude, to be honest, a big reason, this year, I sold my home in Florida. I bought a home in New Mexico. I have a piece of property with a track, and that's where I'll be practicing all summer, just so I could be closer to, my mom and dad, my grandpa, and we're just gonna, kind of keep it real at home in New Mexico. I enjoy, being able to be on the West Coast in California, and I think it was good for me to be close to the team, but I do want to do both, and I have my property in New Mexico. And I'd be closer to my family. My dad, he'll be over there grilling. He'll probably have he has a fridge that has almost every single type of beer that he could find around within a 20-mile radius. So he's pretty funny, but he loves dirt bikes too. So he's down with it. So it's cool that we're able to keep it that way. And it's
And
not always the case with.
oh, dude, no, it's not the case at all, man. And I think like, yeah, it's just got different effects, you know. Like I think what it invites then, like if you don't have a tight family and if you don't have like those family vibes, like I even see people that you know, like their parents are divorced and they just look at relationships in a completely different way, you know. So I just think like when you come from the environment that you come from, I think that it just like it bleeds into all of your life. I think you look at like Tomac, you know, like they've never even really gone outside of their family. Like talk about a tight knit family.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy because between Kathy, John, and Eli, those two have been a core group. And what's really, I think, one of the most impressive things about them is they stayed true. You know what I'm saying? Like if Eli if he had times where like he wasn't doing good, or like you could tell like struggle was happening even in his lights days or whatever, bro, they always stuck to the plan and they kept it between them. I don't know very many people that know much about them, you know.
No.
And I grew up around Eli, and I'm like I really wonder what the dynamic is like in that whole thing. But no matter what, I know you know the main characters no matter what, but you have no idea what the storyline or the dynamic is in between that family. But it's you know, that is a mystery that is honestly marketing for Eli. You know, that's something that you will never know. And that's going to be kind of what he's known for. He's a secretive dude that you don't know much about, but he freaking rips on a dirt bike. And you know, like when he goes beast mode, he be going beast mode.
He's got some weird gear that none of us understand.
Dude, he rides a dirt bike so much different than I ever think of anyone riding a dirt bike. It's crazy. But hey, he does it. I feel like I do it like a little more flowy and stuff like that. He just be hammering that throttle. So it's cool to watch. I hate getting beat by it, but I'm trying to make it happen less nowadays.
Dude, after Daytona, just a fanboy on Eli for a little minute here.
Yeah.
His 450 was fucked in 25 minutes.
Oh yeah.
I get 2 years out of a 450. He fucked one in 25 minutes. And it's like someone I was watching, I forget who I was watching the race with, but they're like, what's wrong with his bike? I'm like, Eli Tomac. Eli Tomac is what's wrong with his bike. Like it's fucked because of him. He went through a bike. It's like some people go through they'll go through tear offs in a moto. They'll go through fucking a set of tires in a moto. He went through an entire 450. There's no one that I know that does that to a motorcycle.
Yeah, dude, he's hard on those things. You could hear it too. So it's crazy.
I love the juxtaposition between you two. Like you guys, you know, for you guys are the best two guys of this Supercross series, hands down. And the juxtaposition between the way that you go about it. I mean, you've got your own fucking brand that's about your personality. Eli has about as little personality as could. Like, I mean, not him personally. Like, I'm sure he's a cool as fuck dude. But in terms of like what he wants to show people, zero personality. He can fuck a dirt bike in 20 minutes. You're like kind of flowy and cruisy and like, you know, the shirt's untucked. It's just the most different styles ever. The fact that you grew up racing each other. It's like for you to know, like how long have you known Eli Tomac? Probably 25 years. You know nothing about the kid.
Dude, since I was 8. Like straight up since I was 8. And I like when we were younger, we used to kind of ride together, but yeah, I really don't know much about him. I even like I don't think he has very many conversations with many guys on the line or anything like that. But I'm sure once you get on the inside, if you're in his group or whatever, he's probably really cool. You know,
he's
probably
man.
Fun to hang out with and stuff. Yeah, and that's what sometimes is kind of weird that you gotta understand that like maybe you don't know a person and you're around them all the time, and you don't say a word to them, but realistically, you would probably enjoy hanging out with them if you really got to know them. You know. So that's a weird aspect to our sport because the camaraderie is zero, you know, like I have guys that I'm friends with, but like I'm friends with Dean I would trust Dean pretty much with telling him anything. But past that, it's like I'm acquaintances with a lot of guys, but I don't think anyone is really like friends with guys. And it's funny too, because you got like the Husky guys are riding together, but if one of the Husky guys went to Yamaha and started riding in Tallahassee, I'm sure the relationship between them would be gone like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, it would just disappear. But it's just because they ride together, they see each other every day, they like talk and hang out. But it's kind of funny how that dynamic is in our sport, you know?
Do you think that there's room to be better friends with people? Like, do you think that it's like a place where we could get, or is it just too competitive?
It's too competitive. There's a lot on the line. Like, and when I say a lot on the line, it's not even money. Sometimes it's a lot more pride, and you feel like you've worked so hard to do something and accomplish something that you're owed it, and this person's trying to take it away from you. It makes it hard to be civil with them to a certain extent. Like, you definitely would be like, say like, hey, what's up and stuff like that, but you really like, it makes it tough. You know, I see guys that are like friends, you know, like I see like even like AC and Kenny, you know, they're friends, but if it came down to it, I think it would get a little weird, you know. I think it would get weird if they were both in the championship position with 3 races to go. It would be really weird between them, you know. I don't think people can keep that friendship through those times. No, it definitely makes sense. Do you think too the fact that like you were a normal kid, like you had to have friends when you were a kid because you went to school and you did the whole thing? Do you think it sort of becomes a part of it to where like, dude, I've met some guys over there where I'm just like, bro, you're fucking retarded. Like, you actually can't have a conversation, and I feel bad. I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's just like the level of conversational skill. We were at Freestone once, and there was a rider and a trainer, and it was like we were kind of all at dinner, and he was like making a joke about like eating a bit of cake, and I was just like, fuck, like that's literally the best you've got, like that's the top of the pops. And it was just like the most awkward thing that I've ever been through, and I was like, I felt bad for the guy because it's not like it's his fault. You're a fucking MTF kid for your entire life. All you've ever done is racing. You've been a child prodigy since you were 6. You probably make more money than as a fucking 12-year-old that I'll make until I'm like in my mid-30s. It's a very weird way to grow up. So it's like, can you even like, do they even have a ability to make friends if they don't have like somewhat of a normal relationship? Dude, it's tough. I believe that everyone to a certain extent has like anxiety and they're like awkward and stuff like that. And even me, like, dude, I get really, really awkward. Like, I'm very comfortable speaking like on the podium and stuff like that in front of all these fans. But if a fan comes up to me at like a store or something like that, I get awkward. I really do. But if I'm like shooting the shit with my friends at like a bar or like a restaurant, I'm completely comfortable, you know. But like, there's certain things that I feel is tough, and I feel like, but I think you need to put yourself in those positions more often to like help yourself grow and be able to do that stuff. And I think our sport takes away from guys being able to develop those skills, you know. And dude, being able to like have good banter, you know, with just everyone in general will take you so far. You know, I think relationships, I think like when you go to school and stuff like that, you learn all this stuff. But dude, to be honest, the biggest thing is like people go to college. I think building relationships is more important sometimes than going to college and experiencing stuff from your peers and things like that. And I think that, some people miss those aspects, you know. And man, I love like hanging out, shooting the shit, making jokes and stuff like that. But I hope people think that I'm pretty funny, you know, whenever I'm around and I'm comfortable with them. Like, I know when I'm awkward, I'm not funny at all, but like, I hope that people think I'm funny whenever I'm just like chilling, you know, like me and Tom and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I think that the awkwardness and the anxiety though comes from at least for me, is like people know who you are, and you know, in my case, they spend a lot of time like listening to stuff that I'd say. So you always wonder like who they think you are. You know, it's like what version of them, what version of me are they expecting to get? And I think it's probably a bit of the case. Same thing with you, where it's like they see this version of you, and then you're like, fuck, which Jason Anderson do they even know?
The hard part is whenever you meet fans and stuff like that, they know like Team Fried and stuff like that, and you'll see them at like anywhere, and they'll expect you to be very funny and be like this and that. Like I try and engage into the conversation as much as possible, but sometimes I have a lot on my mind, you know, and that's even just with managing relationships with people in the industry. Like I'm walking through the pits, and I show up to the track, I'm walking through the pits to my semi, and sometimes people want to have a conversation with me. I'm like, I don't want to be a dick or anything, but this conversation right now, I'm having the hardest time having it because my mind is completely on everything I got going on today, you know? So like, no offense if I look like I'm completely uninterested, but I don't mean anything by it, you know? And then sometimes people come up to me and they expect me, I feel like, to be very interesting and funny, but sometimes when I'm in like mode, I'm not that interesting and funny. Like, catch me like at another time, but like right now, and that's a tough thing for me because it's hard for me to turn the switch on and off. Like you come off the track and you're like, dude, you're just trying to comprehend what went on. You're sitting there and all these people just want to talk to you from the outside, and you're like, oh guys, I'm so sorry, but like right now I'm gonna give you absolutely nothing. And I really apologize for that because this is gonna be what your thought is of me, and it is not gonna be that good. But fuck, I got no more left in the tank as far as my mental capacity goes with engaging in conversation with you or humor or anything like that. So I am sorry. If you want to come chill with me on the couch like on Sunday, I'm sure I'll make you laugh and have you enjoy yourself. But that's about it. That's about it.
Yeah, no, dude, and you'd just be having like the most intense, deep conversation in your own mind, and then someone's just like hitting you with some like surface level shit, and you're just like, fuck, man, I'm not there right now. Like I'm having a real in-depth conversation with myself right now. Yeah, it's tough, but that's the nature of it, though. That's like people that sometimes I think it's played up a little bit. Some of these guys who are so outgoing all the time. But then there's some guys who are really like that, you know. I think Dean is one of the most authentic person I know that is actually genuinely engaged in all those conversations that he has with fans at the track. Like that is him, and that's something that comes very natural to him, you know. So I think that's a blessing to his career, everything like that, because for me, I can talk and enjoy it, but it's more of like a one-on-one type of deal to where like Dean can just like be in a crowd of people and he can be entertaining them, you know? Just like him when he turns on the camera for his vlog, he just says whatever is on his mind. Sometimes he has no filter, and it's like really funny and very entertaining to watch. And I don't believe I have that all the time, but I believe that if you got to know me, that I actually am somewhat, I think I'm cool, you know, but I don't know. I think you're cool. I've been around a very cool Jason Anderson a lot of times.
Thank you.
Definitely like post race win in a different country. That's a fucking super fun Jason Anderson.
Yeah. I've been known to have a couple good times. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you said the relationships thing before. I think that is crazy overlooked in just like life in general. And I think, you know, like this podcast is based on relationships, you know, like your career based on certain relationships. And, you know, like the Bobby Hewitt thing, and, you know, like you kind of, there's like those key people. I wondered, I don't know like how much of it you want to talk about or can talk about, but like the whole Husky thing, when Bobby left, it was like kind of, I mean, it was gnarly for me because like, in my opinion, like he built that whole program, like that was his deal. But fuck, it was quiet. Like, I still to this day don't know the story. Like, no one really talked about it. It almost was just like this like silent like ushering out of the sport. And I actually heard rumors that he's like working on something to come back, which fuck, I hope happens. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, like, I don't know how much you can even talk about it, but I'm assuming that that was probably like a part of you leaving in a way, to go to Cowie. Like, obviously it was a couple years later that you ended up leaving, but I mean, from my outside perspective, like, I even found it hard to be a fan of that team post that, I guess, based on my own bias of Bobby in that situation.
Yeah, so basically Bobby, the tough part is for me, like, whenever Bobby, parted ways with Husqvarna, it was tough for, I think, everyone on the team. And I honestly, it was like a part of it died, and I hate to say that, but like, and I think Bobby would have helped me, through a lot of the stuff that I had to deal with. I think he could have helped me, be better these last couple of years. And I firmly believe this, that if Bobby, if it was ran the way Bobby wanted to run it, I would never have left. Never,
Really?
because I knew he would handle everything, and he would have done whatever it took to keep me. And he would have done, even if sometimes I didn't like to hear what he had to say, we always had a good respect for each other, and that was really cool. How it went down, I don't really know. I just know it went down, and it was, it was a big part of me not wanting to be there, because I just felt like slowly but surely people started just leaving the team, And if you look at the team right now, I think that, like, from the OG crew that I started with, CeeLo, my mechanic, is the only one left there, and that's it. I think out of a whole team that Bobby assembled, they're realistically, maybe the truck drivers are the same, and like there's mechanics that have came in towards the end of Bobby that are still there, but like from the OG, like, there really is only CeeLo left, and those were like, I think those were very key, important people, on that team. And it's just, the dynamic is so much different. I think it's very much more professional. And if I'm being honest, like, I decided not to, decided I was going to go with Kawasaki, and I was nervous, dude. I first of all, I've never switched teams. I've never worked with different people. I'm a creature of habit. Like, I really enjoy working with the same people. And then going to Cowie, like, if I'm being honest, from the outside looking in, they look very suit-like, they really do. And I was like, I gotta give it a shot, like, I really thought that. And then now that I'm inside of it, dude, they are so damn cool. From the truck driver, Big B, to, Dan, to Theo, Rango, dude, they're the coolest cats out there. They keep to themselves, and I feel like they're very similar, like me, to where they don't really say much. No one really knows what goes down, or how they are, but they're cool cats, and I think they're just similar to me in that sense, and they're down to work hard, and they really, this is the first time I really feel like I've been able to use my brain a little bit more, as far as, figuring out where I want to ride, how I want to go about the bike, and all this stuff. And they still have like their window that they work within, but I feel like they've really trusted me as far as, like, my decisions. And that's something to where I think Husky really wants to make the decisions for you, and you to cooperate, which that's how they run it, and it's been proven. They have an investment. They pay Aldon to train the guys to win championships, and that's their business plan. Their job is to sell dirt bikes. So I don't believe that there's anything wrong with how Husky's going about it. It just wasn't the key to success for me, And I think that I needed to figure out what the next play was, and luckily Cowie had that opportunity for me, and they've really allowed me to do it how I want to. Obviously, you know, there's rules, you know, it's not like I'm just like able to do just like whatever I want, but it's been cool and a breath of fresh air, and something that I was really, really nervous going into, just hanging out with them. Because I gotta be like, these are people that I met 6 months ago, and I gotta be vulnerable with them. You know what I'm saying? And I have no choice but to be. And if you aren't vulnerable with them, you don't succeed. You know, you can't front for that long.
Yeah.
So I think that's tough.
So what's, I guess, like, to talk on that, like, vulnerability, like, I guess, what does that look like for you? Like, have you got to be able to be comfortable enough to show?
Yeah, I think that when you show up to races, I think for me, one of the biggest things that is really important as far as racing is, I think you got to understand your emotions, and you got to embrace all your emotions, because no matter how fast you are at the practice track and stuff like that, there's a level of pressure, and there's a level of anxiety that goes with wanting to succeed, these people wanting you to succeed and stuff like that. So for me, I just want to be completely honest with them all the time, to tell them where I'm at, you know, mentally and everything like that. Like, I will say, like, whether I'm like super nervous about the night or anything like that, I try to be as transparent as possible with every outlook, my life, everything like that, you know, and I slowly let them into, you know, parts of my life that I feel like I don't want to go there and hide everything about myself, you know? Like, that would just, it sucks to show up to work and be like, I can't tell you this, I can't tell you that. Like, I want them to know, you know? And I feel like that's the only way you build like a really good relationship. And as long as they understand that I have the respect for them to try my hardest, train my hardest, ride my hardest, I feel like you can't go wrong, and you cannot be denied success as long as you do all those things with the talent I have.
Yeah. I think I personally just like love when you talk about that kind of stuff, because, dude, especially just fucking guys in general, like, there's just such a weird kind of connotation around just like talking around your emotions. And, you know, like, definitely over the last few years, I've gotten way more, I guess, open to that, and I fucking end most of my phone calls telling my friends that I love them. And, you know, I just it's funny, man, like, I just think that as far as you want to take like being a fucking sick cunt, you know, like being the man, you've got to work on the side of yourself that's like that level of soft and kind and generous and forgiving and compassionate. And it's like, you know, to a frat dude or to like some old guy working in a steel mine or something, that might sound lame, but it's like, I really feel like that's the secret to happiness in a way, is like to just be open to, like, it's okay to tell people you love them, it's okay to be soft, it's okay to be emotional, it's okay to be vulnerable, like, and then that almost like lets you go and be a fucking savage in a sense. I don't know if it makes sense, but
no, it does. I think that's I think a lot of guys hold on to their masculinity way too deep and way too long, instead of just letting go and just being like, and just kind of being loving, I guess you could say, you know. Like, for me, like, dude, I tell Tom I love him when I get off the phone with him all the time, and I know Tom is kind of like that guy who's kind of like still holding on to it, and he's like, I love you, you know what I'm saying? Like, and to be honest, now it's kind of funny, like, I know I'm messing with him, but like, dude, me, like, I really deep down, like, I know on the track people are probably like, oh, he's an asshole and stuff like that. I really try to make the best decisions. Like, sometimes whenever stuff happens, like, I'm just like, I'm just too eager, you know, and I'm trying my hardest to be better and stuff like that. And they see me out there like, this guy's probably a dick. And if I'm being honest, like, with my wife, I am a simp, dude. I am through and through. I love her, and I am just the cheesiest guy. With my friends, I really try and do as much as I can for them, you know, and that's something that that masculinity is something that you got to let go at some point, but you know, it's something that you got to make the decision with yourself, you know. But I think it's, dude, just let yourself be yourself. And that's the toughest thing to do. As simple as it is really tough. And that's something I've experienced.
Yeah, dude. No, I fucking love hearing it, man. Like, it's funny to say that like I'm a fucking simp, because I mean, I think that's like the best way to be. Like, I don't know. I just think that there's something so dope about. I mean, I always want in like my chick, I just want to feel like she's way cooler than me. Like I always, I don't know, like that's always, I never want to be the fucking man. I never want to feel like it's all about me or it's all on me. It's like, I want to feel, I just want to like look up to my chick. I want to be like, oh my God, dude, you're so much fucking doper than I am. Like, I don't know why that feels good, but I just, that feels like a way better balance to have in a relationship than just like always trying to be the man. But then there'll be a point where it's like, you've got to fucking be the man, and there's times, but to live in that constantly, it's just tiring, dude, and it's unproductive.
It really is. And that's a tough thing for me, you know, right now is like, for her, I have to spend all weekend and all the attention's on me, and she kind of has to deal with that, and she's awesome about it. So I'm like, she's so cool and everything like that. So I gotta, you know, give her the same respect and stuff like that. So it's tough, but yeah, I think it's I really enjoy that part, you know, and that's, you know, I think it's been a blessing to me. I think it's my friends have been a blessing to me. So I'm just trying to be, as tough as it is, just be as honest with myself as I can be, you know. And that's what, like, I think with like Cowie and stuff like that, taking it back to racing, I think that whole aspect and being honest with them, you know, and letting them know your intentions and allowing them to believe your intentions, because you know how many dudes probably go into that Cowie office and they're like, I will win you a championship, you know. And I really just wanted to let them know that I will try my best, and I believe that I will have the opportunity to win a championship again, you know. But my track record the last year has not been that good, you know. I got some podiums, but like that's about all like I could chalk it up. But yeah, I'm just trying to be very honest with them, and I think they've really enjoyed that. And it's cool, and it makes it easier, you know.
Yeah.
The more honest with you are with yourself and everything like that. And like this weekend didn't go that good, and I was like trying so hard not to be mad or frustrated on like Sunday, and Kenzie was just like, yo dude, you could be mad or frustrated, that's cool, like it's just like you could be whatever, you don't have to like front, like just be what you are. And that's what I was, because I put my heart into it and it doesn't go well, but I know if I keep trying and I keep being honest with myself, that you can't really deny that. And that's the cool thing about being 29, turning 30 and racing dirt bikes and learning more about yourself. You know, I don't even think it's necessarily about the dirt bikes and stuff like that. I think it goes deeper than that sometimes for a lot of these guys, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, the wife thing, dropping that on the podium, I don't think anyone really saw that coming. I know there was, I got like a lot of DMs and comments and stuff about it. I guess, do you want to speak on that whole deal?
Oh yeah, I was like, I was so pumped, and I was like, I'm in love. So I was like, and then one morning I was like, I don't know, maybe like November, I was like, we woke up on Sunday and I was like, do you want to get married? And we just fucking sent it to Vegas, and we like went to Chili's, had some drinks, and then just got married. And then and I loved every bit of it, and yeah, she's the shit.
That's fucking so dope, dude.
Yeah, so it's cool. Yeah.
And so I guess, does that feel like I don't know, like a little bit of a piece of the puzzle that's kind of like in place in a way? Like, was it something that you were like trying to do, or just like it was just like the right thing to do?
If I'm being honest, I'm 29, you know, and this is, you know, I want a family, you know, like it's I think a lot of like guys do, even if they're old and they're still, you know, single or whatever. And it was a goal, but I was never in a hurry to rush it by any means. I was never like, I needed, like, dude, Tom cracks me up because he's like, what did he tell me one time? He's like, I'm gonna be 25, I'm gonna be married with a kid, and I'm like, dude, 25's coming up, you better hurry up. And I never put that pressure on myself. I was always just like, I wanted it to come as a surprise, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it really did come as a surprise, and being able to and to have her on the same page as well, you know, like, dude, to be honest, she's awesome. She's got so much going for her past even what I have. She doesn't care about me for whatever. Dude, sometimes it's just funny how she even sees racing, you know?
Yeah.
And and when I was like, when I woke up and she was like down to do it, and I was like, it never felt weird or anything like that. I was like, yeah, let's go.
Dude, that's so sick. I think, I don't know whether it's, I guess, yeah, maybe in like racing or whatever, it's like, I don't know. It seems like it's probably part of like that macho thing, but it's not like that many dudes are in a rush to go out and get married, or like even admit that they're fully in love with the chick, and then this is the chick they want to be with. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's just the way that you've gone about it. It doesn't seem like even the norm, and maybe that comes back to what we were talking to a little bit about. You know, guys just want to kind of keep up that masculine big dick energy all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the move. I believe it's not the move, but I understand how it's easy to get caught up in that too, a little bit, you know. But yeah, I enjoy the way I go about things, and I would recommend it. Yeah. So maybe other people that watch this can be like, yeah, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, it's cool to be a simp.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So
for sure.
You talked about the struggles of the last like couple years. What was that? Like, a lot of people, because okay, this is the narrative. Oh, you just fucking left Aldon, bro. Of course he's gonna suck. It's like, he's not training anymore. Yeah. So like, I guess like, what was it? And I think the team stuff probably had like a bit to do with it, like kind of like that getting more fragmented. But I guess like, yeah, what was the reasons behind the struggles in your eyes those last couple of years?
Wait, am I too far from the mic?
Just pull it.
For me, I feel like in 2018, I won that championship, and it's not like you could end it, you know. Like, that was my end all goal, you know. And when I did it, I woke up the next morning and I was like, I don't feel any different, you know. I don't really like I thought it was maybe gonna make me want to be like kind of like a savage and work hard and just do it over and over and over again, and it never really made me feel that way. It just felt like another day. And the tough part about that is I expected it to be so much more, you know. And that was something that like it took me a while to come to terms with and try and figure out what I really wanted to do, you know. And I think working with Aldon and stuff like that type of environment, it was tough for me to figure out what I wanted to do while being there, you know. And I come to find out I really enjoy racing dirt bikes, and I really enjoy trying to be my best. But for a while there, I did not like the attention. It's like, and everyone is just like, going into the next year, they wanted you to do good, and all these sponsors want you to do all this stuff. Like, dude, it was just like, nothing against like my sponsors and stuff, but I like more of a mellow setting, you know. I just enjoy that a little bit more. And I told Bobby, I'm like, dude, you guys are putting too much on me when I already got enough going on in my head to try and recover and comprehend what this whole last year was, and then move on to this new year and try and be just as good or better than I was the year before. And I told him, I'm like, if you guys keep pushing, it's going to be tough for me, you know. It's just making it tougher, you know, all these obligations and stuff. And I remember going to Anaheim 1, and they were like we need to do the championship ring presentation, you're the past champion, you got to do this, and Feld was doing all this shit, and I was just like, oh, bro, I have to race today and you guys are making me do all this stuff. You know, I have the number one plate and all this stuff. And I was like, I told Bobby it was just too much for me. It was literally too much. And I wanted to do anything I could, anything. Like I'm telling you, I was desperate to do anything I could to get the spotlight off me. And that was really, really tough for me. And so I did anything I could. I got the whole shot and went back to 18th. Didn't fall.
Really? Like,
and
was there like a purposeful, almost like sabotaging your results in a way so that people like wouldn't talk about you?
Oh, 100%.
Really?
100%. Yeah. I just was like, I don't give a fuck right now. Like I really just felt that way. And then, it was a terrible next week between me and Bob, Jesus. But then the next weekend, I almost won. Baggett passed me. And then I broke my arm. And I was like, I hate to say this, but like the truth is that I'm thankful that I got hurt, you know, just because I needed that time to really be kind of cool with it. And then we moved on and I had the best outdoor season I've ever had. You know, I got third in points and I got a bunch of podiums and stuff like that. And then moving into the next Supercross season, just still wasn't it just within the team and everything like that, all the stuff Bobby was dealing with and stuff. I didn't want to go back to Aldon's. I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to work hard. I wanted to do my thing, but I just needed a change of pace, and I really needed it at that point to be successful that year. And I was in limbo because Husky, we had such a long agreement, you know? So it was tough for me, and I did put my best foot forward, and I showed up every day, and I tried my hardest, but mentally I just don't think I was there, you know? And even going into this year, I was like, is this move really going to make the difference for me to, you know, want to put my heart into it? And it was refreshing, and right now I feel like I'm in a better spot than I've ever been, and it's cool, you know. But the tough part is Husky is good enough to win championships. You know, they are a great team. They got a good bike, and there's nothing against them. It was all on me. But I tried my best, and I just wasn't that good in that environment. I just really wasn't. But I did give it my all the way to the end, and I was really bummed last year that I wasn't able to get a good outdoor season with them and give them my all, and I got hurt, and it's kind of all she wrote, and now we're on to a new chapter, and we're moving on.
Man, I think probably, like, to just go back, like the root of the problem is probably a lack of perspective that I guess you don't know. Like, maybe you can be told this, but the fact that you wake up in the morning and you feel like it's going to be different than what it is, like there's some kind of expectation, and the emptiness that you could feel from that. And I've spoken to so many people that have had that exact same feeling. It's almost like one of the evils of sport is that you think that there's like this holy grail, there's like something to be attained when you win something like that, and you've spent your whole life doing it. And it's sort of almost like now you've got this perspective of like, well, just racing my dirt bike, like that's the goal. And it's like, you know, you can look through Buddhism and Stoic philosophy, and you can look through all of these kind of like ancient thought processes, and it's basically, they all point to like, there's no such thing as the destination. There's just only the path, or there's only the process. Yeah. And it's like, when you love the process, then, you know, winning the championship doesn't become this thing that you like, obviously you care about it, but it's almost just like another part of the process. And I think that, you know, when you kind of, to wake up in the morning and to feel like winning a championship, the thing that you've done, like spent your whole life trying to do, didn't really give you any extra fulfillment, like that's such a kick in the guts.
Yeah. Like it's, it's tough because like if I'm realistically, like I've resented that whole championship to this point because of that feeling the day after, you know. It's like something that I I believe that I would have more wins and more podiums if I wouldn't have won it right now, 100%. Just because I've resented it that much that it wanted me to be so far away from it. And I finally have come to terms with it, you know, and I feel back in the position to be able to do it. And it took longer than I expected, and I'm thankful that I'm still able to make it to the other side of it. But to this day, I have no idea where my championship gear is. I have no idea where my championship #1 plate is. I have no idea where my championship trophy is. I literally just like telling people they could have it.
Damn, that's crazy.
I have no idea where any of that stuff is. Yeah.
Do you know other guys that have gone through that?
Nah, I don't know. Dude, to be honest, you walk into all these other guys' homes and I feel like it's a museum of their achievements. And I'm like, yeah. So, and mine is definitely not that, but it's I've upgraded from the TV with the cardboard box, you know, so it's on the wall now. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's some trophies around, but nothing too crazy or anything. But I don't know any guys that are like that, you know. I know a lot of guys like their stuff and things like that, but I don't know anyone that has really felt like they've resented it like I have. But I'm over it now, and I'm really proud of myself for that championship, you know. But right now, I want to make it sweeter by making some more runs at some more championships. And
dude, I feel like the next one you get will feel so good.
Yeah, I'm really hoping to get another one, and I know I'm going to put everything I can into it, and it's tough, but I feel like it's my first year on this bike, and I feel like I can only get better the more I learn it and stuff like that. So that's, you know, I'm going to try my best.
Yeah. So at this point, like, do you feel like you're just out of this championship now, like to talk about 2022?
Yeah. I feel like these last 3 weekends have been a shit show for me, to say the least. But yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow. But I at the same time, I don't think that there is any let up from my side as far as not being in it, because I think the only thing I can do right now is improve myself and make myself better for the upcoming years, you know. So I don't think that for me, I need to let up at all. I need to just try my hardest, just like I would if I was in the championship position, and just keep building my base and building my speed and learning the bike and learning the process with the team, and just so I could be ready for the upcoming years, you know, even outdoors. I think I got a lot to prove as far as my talent in outdoors, because everyone, I mean, I haven't won an outdoor. I've gotten like 20, 30 plus podiums, but never won an outdoor. So I think that's a big thing I want to get off my bucket list. I want to be good in outdoors all the way to the end, and I want to regroup and see go back to the drawing board for next year's Supercross. But I mean, anything can happen, but it had to be pretty catastrophic on Tomac's side for him to mess this thing up.
Cortez would have to get hit by an asteroid.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Putin's coming after Cortez, Colorado next. Find out.
I mean, gnarly fucking year, championship wise. I think for me, it's a bummer that, I mean, there's just a lot of like aggression, it seems like, this year. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen this many takeouts and this many guys hit the ground. And then there's also the crashes, which I want to talk probably about next. But it's like,
yeah,
takeouts have cost us the championship essentially this year from my side. You know, like Eli, clean as a whistle, like hasn't even been touched, I feel like, this whole year. And at Daytona, when you come up the inside on that second turn, I guess you'd call it, you actually didn't even touch Tomac. So like, he's squeaky clean and leading the championship. And you've been hit and taken out and taken down and taken riders down. Like, it's just been kind of like chaos for everyone but Tomac, and it seems like that has decided the championship. And I mean, it goes back to Anaheim 1, you're in third, Barsha cleans you out, you're like not in third anymore. And then it sort of just goes on from there. Then you got like the Malcolm stuff, Barsha again. So it's like, I don't know, like how do you feel about just that whole vibe of like how shit is playing out at the moment? Because it's, for me, as a fan, I feel a little bit ripped off that I'm not getting to see the two best guys battle in the championship. Like, yeah, you're still battling every weekend or whatever, but it's almost just like we've kind of just been robbed of the championship because of guys hitting each other on the track.
Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow, and I think on all ends, you know, I think that there's one thing this year is there's a lot of team changes, you know, and I feel like let's say like Malcolm, I think that he is working at Aldon's and he's working harder than he's probably feels like he's ever worked. So he feels like he has a lot to prove, you know? So just with him, I think there's a lot of aggression just in his riding, in his mentality. Like he really feels like he's deserved those spots, which makes it way tougher to race him. Cause I don't feel like he's ever been in the position, I may be like saying this, but like I don't feel like he's ever felt like he's been in the position to be on a team that signed him for 2 years. Yeah. And I feel like he's working really hard and he wants to be proven, you know? Yeah. So that's the aggression from his end, you know? From my end, I want to be better, you know? And if I'm being honest, like a lot of things that I've done, I feel like I'm just really too eager. It's the truth, and it's something that I need to work on, but it's just not like I mean anything by it, but it's just tough, you know? And then with Barsha's just Barsha, dude. Like he really is just he's the fucking wild card of the class. You never know what you're gonna get. And then it's tough too, and then now like it's a kind of a shit show, and but I think it'll calm down. I think once all this wears off, it's like it's been 3 weekends in a row of craziness, and dude, we just need 2 calm weekends no matter what, and just it'll let all the BS just calm down, you know? Yeah. And we'll see how it is, but it does suck. It does suck that the championship has played out, and realistically, it would have been cool if there was even more guys in the championship, you know? Yeah. And I think if I'm being honest, if Eli had me on his butt, you know, like points wise, and he still won the championship by 3 points, I'd have made it way sweeter than it would be winning by as big of a margin as he is. And I always say this, that like the competition is awesome. You know, if it wasn't for, you know, Malcolm, Eli, all these guys, it wouldn't make my wins as special. You know, they need to be there. Like Eli, like me and Kenny battling at Oakland and me winning that made that win more special. If I would have just been by myself and won Oakland that year, it'd have been boring, you know? Yeah. So I think that's a cool thing that I understand, but I think it's, I hope that we're able to figure out this whole aggression thing, you know, and it's coming from my end too. So, so we could all be racing really well, but we all just want it. This aggression just shows how much we want it, you know, and it's just some egos out there, and they fucking want to make that money and get on that podium, baby.
Yeah, and it makes the sport so great that we can do it and guys can kind of get into it, but it is kind of getting to the point where it's like I just think that this year in particular, with like from A1 to now, I mean, the you and Kenny at Anaheim, was it Anaheim too when you took Kenny down in the sand? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's racing. Like that's not like, I don't think that's like a bad deal at all. And I mean, I love Kenny, but that one to me, it's like that. I posted on I think I commented on Daniel Blair's main event moto thing. He like basically this whole year, every race is like people post the fucking takeout. And it's like just the comment section goes wild. But I wrote when the inside line funnels to the outside, don't be on the outside. Like that's basic. Like that's the quick maths of that whole deal.
You know, the tough part about that one is like I went to the inside, and I think it was Shane McElrath. He went to the inside like the lap before, and it hooked back. And then when I went to it, it just went straight.
Straight.
And like, it just went straight. And by the time I was in it, I was already going fast enough, and like, yeah, I just wanted to pass him. I just wanted to pass him, and I was too eager, and I was coming in too fast, and my intentions weren't to be as what it was. But then once the line went there, I mean, I braced for impact. I'll tell you that much. But it's not like that's what I wish people were in my helmet, because people love to talk shit, but I'm like. I wish you saw the plan in my head. It looks like the Alan off The Hangover, like counting cards and shit like that. I'm like, and obviously that didn't work. But yeah, and the shitty part is I know Kenny would never race any of us like that, Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, it's tough too. And then like the AMA is trying to make trying to help out with this, and they're like, we don't want dirty riding or anything anymore. Yeah, and the thing that tricks me is like, they're like, okay, they said first offense, they gave everyone a warning in Oakland, and then they're like, everyone gets 6 months probation for their first move now. Okay. So I'm like, okay, I'm on 6 months probation. So what happened is they gave everyone the warning in Oakland. The next round was San Diego. Me and Kenny came together in San Diego, and I'm like, if you guys are really following the rules, you'd have put me on probation right there. They really would have. It is what it is. I'm like, treat me the same and be like equal with your rules. And then we go to Anaheim too, and that's the first time I get 6. I should have already been on 6 months probation off the first one. And then we go to Daytona, and that was when the Mookie thing happened at Daytona, and basically he just got docked for the off the track thing. He got docked one position for going off the track, but no 6 month probation. And I'm like,
so he did get docked weird, because he cut the track to hit you.
He got docked one position, and then when he hit me in that corner, he didn't get 6 months probation. So they're like, well, they said that the intent wasn't bad, which this has nothing to do with Mookie. This is all AMA. Yeah. And then we show up this weekend, and the thing with me and Barsha happened, and they're like, we want to stop dirty riding, and they're like, we dock him 3 points and a $3,000 fine. And I'm like, but he keeps his podium, which is completely fine with me. Like, dude, if I'm Barsha, that was a fucking money move, Yeah. It really was. And I'm like, nowadays, I told them, I'm like, I hate to be this way, but I know a lot of guys are going to think about it. But now you're putting a price on what the move is going to cost you,
Exactly.
I feel like if I went to Seattle, and I thought about this, I'm like, if I went to Seattle and there was someone in front of me for the
spot
race win, and I just hit him, I'd hop on the podium. I'm like, I'll take my 3 points and my $3,000 thing, because I cashed that. I'll cash my bonus check with Cowie, because I'm keeping this podium. And that's like, they're putting like a price on it, And I'm like, you guys are just making this whole problem worse. You're changing the way we're thinking, And I don't like, I'm not going to go this weekend and try and retaliate against Barsha. I'm not going to go and try and do anything. I'm just going to race to be the best I can. And I hope that the other guys are doing the same, because the AMA really is they are putting prices on, like, okay, a clean out costs you this much. A clean out costs you this much, And that's, I feel a failure in the eyes of an organization.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, man. Yeah, I completely agree, dude. It's like, I'm gonna 3%. I'll pay out 3% of my bonus for a clean out. Fuck, easy money, baby. That's just like the cost of doing business.
Yeah. Yeah, and the tough part is, like, right now, like, with all this stuff that happened, I'm out of the championship. Barsh is out of the championship. Like, all of us are somewhat out of the championship. And for us, like, we don't get second and third does not matter to us as far as points go. Now it's podiums, So if it was points at like round 1, you guarantee we care. But right now, at the point we are in the season, do we really care? Like, I want to get second place in the championship just for like maybe a little bit of bragging rights. I don't know. I don't even know if I get a bonus for second, maybe from the AMA, but realistically, like, I want race wins and I want podiums, you know?
Yeah.
And now they're putting a price on it and they're like 3 points. Like that's gonna like it for me, I just want to race and I want to race. But like for some guys, I'm sure they're like 3 points. I like watch out.
Yeah.
And, so it's a completely weird way that I think they're going about this whole thing, because I don't think I think they're making it worse.
Yeah, man, I didn't know that. Yeah, I hadn't really thought of it like that. But I mean, yeah, you just literally look and you're like, it's just part of your expenses. You pay your fucking rental car, you pay your hotel, you pay your $3,000 fine, and then make a bit of extra cash on the podium, you know? And I mean, it is crazy, dude. Like Barsha's A1 move, that cost you some cash. This move on the weekend cost you some cash. Like all of this, it's like, it's legit money that's getting thrown down.
Yeah, dude, I have not been playing it right. I've been losing some cash left and right, but it is what it is. We'll bounce back and I'll try my best.
What do you think does fix the problem? And like, I mean, yeah, because it's sort of, yeah, like, I guess like I said, it's cost the fans, it's cost you guys. I just don't really remember a season where the on track confrontations have just like had this much of a global impact.
Yeah, the shitty part is I feel like I don't know what changes it. You know, there's a certain thing that is tough because the manufacturers are what run this sport. Like if it was like huge sponsors running this sport, it would be something different. But these results, the manufacturers are win on Saturday, sell on Monday, you know, and that's their marketing strategy. So if you start taking away like podiums and stuff like that, the manufacturers are not going to be happy. And nowadays, I think you have another competition coming in with the FIM World thing, you know, to where it's going to mix it up a little bit too. So I feel like I don't really know what the answer is, because I don't think you want to make the manufacturers too mad. And then with like losing their marketing and all that stuff, I don't know. Because like I'm sure they were told that thing, and I'm sure Gas is not happy about it. To be honest, to me, I don't really care. All I really cared about was my race, and it didn't go well, but that is what it is, and I don't really give a shit. I mean, I give a shit, but I don't give a shit, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I don't know what the answer is. I think the biggest answer would be is they got to figure out a way to do it without making us understand it, without making too much of a penalty. Like if the penalty is really fucking huge, yeah, it'll make people think twice. If they're like, yeah, this is gonna cost you, we're gonna fine you what your bonus was. Oh yeah, you definitely would be thinking twice about that. But I don't want that. They don't want that, you know? So I don't know what the exact answer is. And to be honest, I work on my off season from October to December to be ready for the season. Fucking AMA needs a whiteboard in their office working from October to December, figuring out this whole problem that they have right now, you know? Yeah. I'm like, yo, go back to Ohio and figure this shit out. Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point too. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a part of it too where like I don't think the AMA ever really gets it right. Like there's not that many times where I'm like, bravo. Like another thing was like the like McAdoo's red flag thing. Like I spoke a bunch about it, where McAdoo crashes is like, for me, he says he wasn't knocked out. I love Cameron. He's a fucking man. Nothing against him. He was knocked out when he hit that fucking thing. His body went limp. It is what it is. And it's like he could fucking get up and race. And then we see the most heroic comeback of all time. Like that race was phenomenal. What a G. Hands down. Should he have been able to do that? Fuck no, that doesn't make any sense. So like you get a terrible start. So you're in a 450 main event. There's 2 rounds to go on the championship. It's you and Eli. You're separated by 3 points. You get a terrible start. crash in the whoops, lay
Just
in the middle
endo?
of the whoops. Yeah, just a little endo, lay underneath your bike for a minute, fucking be unresponsive for like 40 seconds. They wave out the red flag, then you get up, dust yourself off, go back to the fucking start line, whole shot, win the race. Like that, and it's like, okay, it can sound like I'm being dramatic and crazy, but that situation could happen. You could do that, and within the rules, you can do that. So it's like, I'm just a dickhead sitting in Australia, and that to me, I'm like, this seems like a problem. That like this is like a hole that could be kind of plugged, you know? So it's like, and then the lappers thing. It's like we saw so much drama with lappers last year. What the fuck is different in 2022 to 2021 with lappers? Nothing. Where's the upgrades? Where's the year-on-year improvement? So like from where I'm sitting, the AMA doesn't do fuck all. Feld doesn't do fuck all as a promotion to like year on year make these changes, get things incrementally better. I mean, you look at F1, dude, like rule changes and regulation changes, they're like the lifeblood of the sport in a sense.
Yeah, like no matter what, like we have to deal with the AMA, and that is what it is. And as much as I don't agree with them, I don't really, it's hard for me because like I don't want to be a shit talker and always, you know, say this stuff, but I think that they need to figure something out a little bit, you know, because I think when it comes to like say F1, they're so quick on it that you know exactly what penalty you're getting as soon as you pull off that track.
Yeah.
Appeal it, that's fine. But like this penalty after the 6-month probation, I've been asking what the penalty is because I was just really, really curious. And it took until it finally happened for them to decide on what the penalty is. But I think that's stuff that should be upgraded in the rule book, you know, that like you should know exactly what you're going to get as soon as you're off the track, you know, whether it's a huge fine or something like that. And I think that improvements need to be made because with everything evolving, bikes evolve, everything needs to evolve, like everything, you know, and that's just how it is, you know. And I understand that like it's tough because especially like when you take people out or like when people are, there's ones that like the intent is malicious and then there's ones where the intent is
it's just racing,
like completely just rushed. It's just racing. Yeah. So, and that's hard in our sport to, you know, figure that out, you know,
hire an expert.
And those guys are that
hire an expert, a dude that's done it.
AMA's never going to win. The guys that are there they're always going to get shit talked on by the fan of the person who takes the penalty. Yeah. And as far as like determining that, there needs to be a guy there that is just the answer. That's just what it is. Yeah. Whatever he says goes.
Race control.
You know? And just race control. Like, yo, you cannot, like, you can appeal it and then they'll look into it a little bit more in depth. But like, I feel like what they need a guy who is just like, yep, this is what it is. Yeah. And right now I feel like it's like a bunch of people, you know, and it's always up for,
like interpretation, like kind of
coming to, yes, and I just think that there needs to be one hard ass. There really does, and I think that hard ass can't be friends with anyone in the industry. It can't be friends with riders because as soon as you're broing down with someone, that really changes your outlook on the whole situation. It needs to be someone that just comes in, and they just need to be like you don't talk to them. Like realistically, you can't have like a relationship with them because as soon that does, I hate to say it, but like humans, if they develop a relationship with someone, it changes their opinion on the outlook of certain situations. You see it from a different side. So you need to have someone in there that is just like fuck all you guys. I don't like any of you. I make the decision, and this is how it is.
It should be Johnny Hopper, and that's
Oh, Johnny Hopper's the shit.
Dude.
The other day, he accepted his follower.
Oh, that's so dope. But dude, I think you're so right. It's funny too, the bias thing. We were doing Super Companion. It was actually, this is like one of the few things that I like when I was on Super Companion where actually we made a social clip of it, and I was like, don't show that. I fucking suck. But when Mookie took you out at Daytona, I literally just sat and I was like, what a fucking dickhead. Like 5 times in a row. And then the boys made a social clip. I was like, I shouldn't have said that. But like, then I had people in the chat being like, fucking so biased towards Jason Anderson this whole show. And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah. Like that, it is what it is. Like he's he's our friend, you know? And it's like, Mookie as well. Like I've spent so much fucking time with him. I was just like, it was one of those things where it's like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Like I'm just really disappointed. Yeah. He's still my friend, but I'm just really bummed on you guys.
But the bias thing, like it does change your opinion. Like
it does, man.
All those guys at AMA are cool, but like I'm like, we shouldn't be friends or anything like that. You know, I don't think they should be friends with anyone. Like it's just the truth. But it's like you see all those guys at AMA and like how would it be like going to the races? Like I feel like somewhat you gotta love your job. Yeah. How would it be going to the races and being like, I can't fucking talk to anyone? God damn it. What if you like someone, you know? And it's hard. Like, but that's a job that someone needs to do, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree. Another little 2022 topic I wanted to get your thoughts on. Why the fuck is everyone crashing?
Like, what do you mean?
Everyone's crashing.
Like, who's crashing?
Everyone. Literally everyone. Eli's not crashing, but like everyone is having these crashes. Like, dude, so the other day, Dean posted, I can't remember the round, but he posted going through
Dean's
the whoops.
Had some big ones this year.
Dude, he was going through the whoops. Textbook. There was no problem there. Bike, fucking sideways. Cartwheels. There's so many crashes that have happened this year where I'm just like, why, man? Like that, especially Dean's. Like when Dean crashed in the whoops, he shouldn't have crashed there. There's nothing he did wrong as a rider that would make him crash. And then that really made me, like, I guess worried in a way, because it's like, man, you can be doing everything right in 2022, it seems like, and then just have an absolute massive one. And I mean, even like you losing the front at Detroit, I think it was, and like you had that slap down. It's just like, is there something going on to where like the track's being built differently? Maybe the dirt's different like than years past, because I don't remember seeing a year where there's been this many crashes from the best dudes, like not lappers, not dudes in the LCQs, like the best dudes are fucking cartwheeling.
I think the whoops this year in 2022 are bigger than they've ever been.
Really?
And not only are they bigger, they're holding up. Like usually they break down in their jumpers, but like the whoops this year are probably some of the gnarliest whoops I've seen in many years. And then sometimes like I think that we're pushing ourselves to the limits so much, you know, that even the littlest thing, but there's been a lot of shit go down this year. There really has. You know, I mean, dude, I've actually had some decent crashes. Like Phoenix, I jumped off the track into the tough blocks, you know, like we're just pushing the limit. And it's tough. And I don't think that I was thinking about this because like when I started racing professionally, I would go to the races and I'd be like, dude, the transitions are so steep and they just like, they don't flow. But like now I'm like, if those transitions flowed on a 450, you're just jumping the whole section. Yeah, and if there was a mistake jumping the whole section, you're dead, you know? So, like, now I'm like, pro, keep transitions shitty, make us, like, fucking go slower and, like, think about shit a little bit more, you know? And that's one thing, like, I think I'm like, dude, if some of these transitions were, like, smooth and shit like that, we'd be fucking jumping 80 feet out of a corner, you know? So, it's tough to figure out how to make it safer, but I mean, dude, we're just pushing it so hard, you know? I mean, nowadays, a quad, that's part of the program. That's just what you got to do. If someone hits it, all right, but how do they hit it? They hit like, what? 76.3% throttle. All right, I'll try and mimic that. Hopefully I don't OJ it or case it, you know? And it's just the window of error is getting smaller because of how big everything's going. And then not only are you doing the jumps and have to hit the jumps big enough, dude, these tracks break down and they're rutted. Like last weekend, I think we did 28 laps at Indy. If you looked at the triple the last lap, oh, it was insane. And I don't know how they keep up with that. The stadiums are too small now. They really are, which is crazy. And I think in the two-stroke days...
No, sorry, keep going.
Go for it.
No, you go.
I was gonna say I think in the two-stroke days that it wasn't such a big thing because I don't think that the two-strokes like had that much torque, so the track didn't get broken down as much. And 450s just have thrown a curveball since they came, you know, since 05 or whatever, whenever they started 04. I think they've thrown a curveball at the tracks. They really have, because they just tear those tracks apart. We be hitting concrete and plywood every weekend.
Do you think that the 450s are just too fast now? Like it's just too much bike for those stadiums?
I think the 450s have gotten a lot safer. I think that at one point in early 450 era, I think that they were almost too fast and the frames weren't ready, or like just like the suspension and everything. I think it was so new and people were so used to riding a two-stroke and holding it wide open that now in the era we're in, I think a lot of us grew up on four strokes and stuff like that we kind of understand it a little bit more. And I don't think so. I just think that it's just the sport progressed, and I think that the tracks are too small. I don't think the 450s are too fast or anything, but it's just the track needs to be bigger and it needs to progress, but you can't rebuild stadiums just for Supercross, you know? Yeah. So like, I think that they did with the time thing, they did it so that they didn't have to worry about, like, we haven't seen any walls or anything recently, because I think those used to be built to slow the track down when you used to do like 20 laps. But I think it's I don't know, there's a lot of things that I don't think anyone knows the answer to. Yeah, because I mean it's just got gnarly. And I mean A3 to me was one of the gnarliest Supercross races I've ever watched, because I was looking at you going through those whoops. I think there was maybe like a 5 lap period, probably from lap like 5 to 10 in that main event, where you went in there and it was like you were just fucking rolling the dice, and then Eli was like rolling the dice, and then there was a point where it lasted like 5 laps and you looked like you were gonna fucking die for 5 laps in a row. And then it looked like Eli was going to die for about 4 laps in a row. And then Eli finally said, nah, man, I'll get second tonight. You win tonight, because that's it. Like, I just ain't doing this shit anymore. And I just, that was one of the races where I just was kind of like flabbergasted. And like my respect, I guess like the obvious level that the sport has reached was on display that night with you two guys. And it was just like your commitment to go through those whoops for that main event, to break down Eli, to then get that win. That to me encapsulated that. And when, to change gears a little bit, but like to see Roxon pull out of the series, I'm like, dude, A3, look at A3. That's what you have to do to win. Kenny got out front at Anaheim 1, kind of rode his own race, Chase crashed, track wasn't super gnarly, and he got the win. On a night like A3, I don't know that the Ken Roxon that exists as a person is willing to do what Jason Anderson did at A3 through those whoops. You know, Eli Tomac wasn't willing to do what Jason Anderson was willing to do. So it's like, to see, it almost even looks to me like it's gotten so gnarly that you're seeing a guy like Ken Roxon be like, nah, I'm not prepared to fucking do this anymore. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's commitment. It really is, because every time I went into those whoops, like it was nerve-wracking, because I got to the point at the end, like I was like still like, just, you don't try and hit him fast, you just try and hit him. It's like survival. And I knew Eli was hitting him good in the beginning, and then once it got towards the end, I made a mistake one time, but he also made a mistake like the same lap. And dude, those things ate people up. Look at the 250 main, look at Hunter, the crazy part is their last lap was our first lap. You know, so you got to think, it was eating those 250 guys up. We still had 20 minutes on those same whoops with no prep. So it's dude, it's ridiculous. But I believe that the whoops weren't that unsafe, but it allowed a very small window of error, you know? Because I think that each rider can get to the end, and if they have a crash, it's going to be like slow, you know? I think whoops, the way they have them this year, is how they should have them every year in Supercross. And I think that Eli's been better than me sometimes and stuff like that. But for me, I'm like I said, like, I want another shot at a championship. And if it takes me being that committed, that's what it takes. And it's tough because you just got to bring it from within you to do that. I mean, you talk to yourself in your head the whole time you're in those main events, but that is what it is, and that's what it takes, you know. And it's the amount of conversations I have with myself in my head when I'm racing is pretty insane. But that's when you pull it off, it makes it that much cooler.
What are the thoughts that you've got? Like, are you like talking yourself around the track for those races? Because that, like you said, the level of commitment is just so high. Like, it's got to be a weird feeling to force yourself to do those things.
Yeah, it's a tough thing too, is like the way we train and everything like that. We have weekends where we're flat, and you know, days where you just feel off. You don't even feel like your thoughts are moving as quick as they should be, you know? So sometimes trying to pull the best performance out of yourself, because we race, you know, 17 weekends with 1 weekend off. There's no way you could be firing on all cylinders all those weekends. You know, these guys, even if they win, sometimes they may not feel the best, and they may not feel like their brain's processing stuff as quick as they should be. But you've got to figure out a way to pull it from within yourself. And yeah, it's tough. So like, talking to yourself, you got to lie to yourself. You really do. And I know a lot of these guys do it, but you literally got to lie yourself and talk yourself into telling yourself, like, you're fine. Like, what? You woke up tired. Good joke. You are actually have the most energy you've ever had in your life.
So you play with yourself to that level.
Fuck yeah, everyone does. If they don't, they're lying. Which I'm totally cool with it. I'm totally cool with lying to myself a little bit, you know. That's the same as like I said, like the other day, like I didn't have a good weekend, and on Sunday I was just like a little upset, and I was trying to lie to myself to tell myself I'm happy, you know, but I wasn't. And that's kind of the same process you have on the track. Like, I'm tired. What? You're not fucking tired. Don't be a pussy. Come on, you're fine. Like, that's what you tell yourself. But it's just, fuck. It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, man. I just that A3 main event to me was really like a. If you wanna ever appreciate Supercross and the level that it's got to, just go and watch that main event and just see. There's just so many layers that you can analyze that race, and I mean, just like the way that you and Eli had the battle, and then the commitment through the whoops, and the way that everyone else was crashing, and the just like. The level at which, like, you're either on the front pace or you're so far off the pace, it's crazy. And it, you know, even just the disparity between like the best guys. Yeah,
it's crazy. It really is, and it's crazy how much you want it. And sometimes I even surprise myself on how much I want it. You know, because sometimes, like, dude, even at Detroit, like. I fell, but I tell you, I tried my heart out to get back on my bike and get going, and I just, no matter what, I just couldn't. Like, and that sucks, because that is the biggest moment of like being so desperate that you will do anything, you know? I was saying this the other day, like, on how desperate you are as a dirt bike racer. I remember when I was flying to Vegas and I was about to win my first Supercross championship. I had to get like 11th. I should have won it the weekend before, but I did my front wheel thing. And I was so desperate just to get there and get it over with. I remember like being in the plane, and these are thoughts that go through my head. Like, everyone has crazy thoughts, but plane had turbulence, and in my head I'm like, oh, fuck, like at least let me just get through this weekend and win this championship. If my plane goes down, just let it happen on the way home. You know, like I have like those like weird, like I'm just like, I'm so desperate. I just want to win this and just get this fucking over with. And then if anything happens, let it happen on Sunday, you know? But those are just things that you think of in your head that is just like, it's just as a thoughts, you know, that you can't help. It's kind of crazy.
And it's like you wonder like where that shit comes from. You know, you just don't have you don't have a choice in that at all. Like you don't choose the things that you want at all. And then they can like, you can attach to those things, and it's like you're just being compelled to do shit.
It's crazy, but it's cool too. And that's one thing I wish, like, you see all these mini dads and stuff like that, dude, nothing you do is going to make your kid win. If your kid wants it, it's just going to happen. There's so much shit he has to go through that, like, this kid, he likes dirt bikes now. He hasn't hit puberty. He hasn't discovered girls. Like, dude, that will throw a curveball in it. Like, he's not going to want to hang out with you forever. Like, you're his dad and he loves you right now. But dude, I guarantee you when he turns 14, he's like, oh, fuck my dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, yeah, you can't control anything. And that's what I think parents, athletes like me as who I am, you just got to just be like, fuck it. Just go with it. Do what you want and try your hardest.
Yeah. I've been saying recently, actually I did like a friend's podcast the other day, and he just said like words to like, what words do you have to live by at the moment? And I've been thinking about it, but I've never like really said it out loud. But it's like, basically just do your best and be super cool when your best isn't good enough. Because like your best is like, even when you do your best, bro, like it's not in your control. Your best might just be worthless in that situation. And
it could be,
and that's cool. Like, be okay with that.
Dude, I know I've been trying to be better at that. Like sometimes when I'm doing practice at the races, we have like the board where your name pops up if you're like P1. And sometimes I'll do a lap and I'll try my hardest, and I'm like, oh dude, that was definitely like P1. Like that was a good lap, and it doesn't even go up there, and I'm like, oh, I gotta be okay with that, but I'm not okay with it, you know? It's tough sometimes. You gotta tell yourself you're okay with it, but sometimes you just aren't. But I try and keep it cool when I'm not.
Dude, that's fucking funny. You mentioned that World Supercross before. I'm actually... fun fact, I kicked those boys out of the studio right now so that we could do this. So they're coming on Friday. But what are your thoughts on that? Like going forward, I mean, obviously you love Supercross and you've done races that those guys have promoted before. Because I think that's like the question mark. Like, I mean, I don't even really know a lot about the series. Obviously, they've come out with like the prize money and the team funding and the rider funding and stuff like that. What do you think about that, just that series in general, and as a guy that's like raced for that promotion in a sense?
I think the races they put on are like top notch. They are awesome. I think the hard part is as a racer, like we're supposed to race outdoors in Supercross, and that's 29 races a year. And to add any extra on that is really, really tough on us. Like doing like 2 like in November is fine, but to be able to start it as soon as outdoors is over, that's tough. I think it would be so damn cool to travel the world and race Supercross. Like there's nothing bad about that, but it's gonna be tough. You know, you gotta figure out like what the manufacturers think about it. You gotta have them on board, because if you don't have them on board, they control us. You know what I'm saying? They can be like, you're not racing that. So that's going to be their biggest thing, you know? And for us, I love racing, and I don't do it for the money, but if you're having me race any more weekends than 29 weekends, I better be getting paid those weekends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate to say that because, like, dude, we don't have very many. We're like 13 weekends in a row right now. I mean, I'm dragging, you know, Tom, Kenzie, and they're like, I'm dragging them along with me. You know, I can't expect them to do much more than 29 weekends a year, you know? So it's tough, you know, and if it is happening, I mean, I think there is a price tag with it. Like I hate to say that for like especially the top guys, because there's a lot of pressure on us because we have to do that and we don't really have a break, and we have to get right back into preseason testing, and that's a lot on our mentals, you know. So got to keep the mental straight, and that's going to be a tough thing with, like, you know, organizing that whole series. Now if we didn't race outdoors, then shit, sign me up. But I love outdoors, even though like I haven't done that good in them. I think they're so core and raw that's like, I like it, you know.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's probably like the play for them, is kind of wanting to get people that don't do outdoors. And I think the Supercross only thing's like really kind of gone away the last few years. But I mean, do you see a point where, I mean, Brayton said it a couple of years ago on the podcast, he's like, they're two different sports, motocross and Supercross. Do you see a point where like we're just gonna see the AMA outdoor series become like Europe, where it's like a bunch of you know, American guys that like only do motocross and then they don't do Supercross, and then we've just got like these Supercross guys that just do these two Supercross series? Because I mean, dude, like, you've been to those races, they're fucking legit. Like, can you imagine like a stadium in like Saudi Arabia, or then like you go to a stadium in Japan? Like, I want to go to those fucking races. Like, I don't really want to go to Detroit. You know what I mean? Like, as terms of like racing, and like I'm going to Le Mans Grand Prix this year, and then the Spanish F1. It's like, dude, I want to experience that shit. Like the food, the culture, the travel, like fucking sign me all the way up. So it's like, I really think there is some like crazy advantages, and it's something cool about the sport too, you know. Like we're missing that element of travel. I mean, I think the GP doesn't do a very good job of promoting that shit either. The fact that the boys are like getting to go to these crazy places, like you just don't see it. It all looks the same. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that there's definitely going to be some appeal based on that side of things as well.
I believe that too. It's just tough. Like it's more of a, for that thing to be what it is, it's a politic thing. It is. Like, dude, trust me. You know how sweet it would be? Like, I want to go to Japan, and I've even talked to Cowie because I want to race one of the Japanese like nationals, and I want to go just check out the factory and stuff over there. And that's something that I want to do, just to go check it out, you know.
Have you ever been to Japan?
And I would
before?
love to. No, I have not. So I'm excited to go check it out.
The food, bro, like you will psych out on the food.
I know. Dude, I'm excited. I hope we're able to pull it off. But and then so just being able to do that stuff and travel the world and try different things, like, dude, trust me, I want to do that. It's just having the mental capacity to be able to be like travel and drag, you know, everyone with me and stuff like that. It's man, I gotta like make sure it's all good, you know. And if Cowie's down, I'm down. But fuck, it's a lot of traveling. But damn, I better be flying first class. I tell you what, those pods are kind of nice though. Be sleeping
the business
in those
ones
pods.
or the first one?
Whichever one lays down into a bed, dude. I'd be sleeping. Like, when I used to go to Australia, I would sleep the whole time. I was like, what? This is not a flight. This is vacation.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm about to go to Europe, and I got to just do full cattle class. And like, I think my flights, it's like Singapore's like 8 hours, and then it's like 15 hours to fucking France or something. I'm just like, oh, fuck my life, dude. Because I definitely ain't flying business on that one.
It's probably expensive as hell right now too.
Actually, it's not really that bad. I think it's only like $1,500 from Oz to go there, return. So it's not that bad. I don't think the prices are kind of like jacked up. No, not too bad yet. Maybe I should fly business. Maybe this podcast does good and we can fly business.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely think like there is an appeal to it. Like, who do you think, like, who can you see that just races it straight up? Like, who's it for right now in like its first kind of year?
Dean and Brayton. I don't really know about like as far as like signing or anything like that. I've heard that Cooper Webb wants to race it. That's what I've heard. I have no idea. I don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I know I talked to Dean. He's like, yeah, dude, it'd be sweet to be able to do it. But that's just what I think, you know. I'd love to race it. I don't know if Cowie's down, and that's the big boss. So
yeah.
But that's what I kind of got to figure out.
Yeah.
But that's not my job. Well, I let my agent do all that.
Yeah. No, that's fair. You just got to do you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, we both know like the level of event that they can put on. So I think that, yeah, I don't know. It's so hard. I'm keen to talk to them on Friday just because I guess I'll know more. But yeah. I mean, they've got ideas to like pay a bunch of money. It's what, $250,000 rider purse for each event, and then like support for teams and stuff like that. I wonder if like we get into the space where like new teams will kind of, you know, emerge and come into it even. Like, I don't know. It's definitely a big shake up. Like, I almost think that the American schedule probably just needs to fucking chill by a few races on each on each series too, you know? Like, I feel like if that happened, again, it's like a business thing. Like, Feld's not going to want to like drop off going to a state. Like, there's a lot of money, but I mean, let's even take away that World Supercross thing. Like, fuck, let's go 10 rounds of outdoors and like 12 rounds of Supercross, and let's like call it good. I don't think anyone gets less of a product, you know, but obviously like Feld and the fucking Pro Motocross, they'd get like a tiny bit more money, but I feel like just dropping a couple races off at the end of those would just do so much for like just the industry as a whole, like truck drivers, mechanics, rider career, like everything.
Yeah. The thing is I do believe that outdoors is too long. Supercross is dude, that 17 rounds is a long series, and especially when you're doing multiple series within a year, it's tough. But the thing is that I think the World Supercross wants to go a lot of rounds too. Like here coming up soon, like they're doing 5 rounds this year, and I think they're gonna do like quite a bit more over the next years. But I will say though, like Adam and Ryan, their events are top notch, and they really do take care of the riders so damn well. Yeah. And that's one thing that like even the last couple of years, I was like I really enjoyed going to Australia. That was like one of my biggest things I looked forward to every single year. I enjoyed going to New Zealand, and they just took care of us every single time really well. So they make it fun, and they're cool dudes too. Like I hang out with them outside of even like what their job entails, and then our, you know, us being, you know, working together.
Yeah, like in business or whatever. I completely agree. It's such a bummer that they like lost the momentum that they lost with those races, because I mean, essentially we've lost like 2 or 3 of them with COVID. I mean, can you imagine how much better the events would be, and like the stadiums and all that sort of stuff? Like, dude, Marvel Stadium's like as legit as it gets as far as stadiums go, you know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I really, really actually enjoyed Sydney, even though it's a small stadium. Dude, it was a sick little vibe there. With like all, like, it felt like everyone was on top of you. But Marvel Stadium, dude, that was like a step up. Like, it was fucking really, really dope. But like the first time I was in Sydney, I was like, it's kind of cool. Like racing through the hallways and shit. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. And they always packed it out, man. It was only like 17,000 people, but it was just like fucking packed, and they had like Brooke DJing the whole time, and like Harry was crashing the DJ booth and shit.
Yeah, it's funny.
So we're done our 3 hours, mate. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover? I don't know how much time you got, or if you want to go into any other topics, but yeah, we definitely.
No, dude, I think we did. Dude, we covered about everything.
Yeah, that 3 hours went quick.
Dude, honestly, I haven't done a podcast, but I'm like,
But yeah, thanks so much for doing it, bro. It's you've always had an open seat and always will.
Yeah.
So I hope that you know that. And yeah, there's never any pressure. So many people wanted you to do this, and it's just you're not even a guy that. It's funny, like you're not even a guy I would hit up to do this, because it's like I know that the spots here, and that whenever you want to do it, you just fucking come and do it. There's like never any pressure on my end.
Yeah, for sure. And dude, I don't do this stuff very much, but on this one, I really enjoyed it. So thanks for having me. And it was fun.
Well, good luck, man. We'll continue to just be super biased about all of your shit all the time. And hopefully it pisses some more people off.
Dude, you're going to piss off Mookie fans. They're going to hate you.
Oh, no, I know. I fucking like Mookie. I haven't spoke to him in so fucking long, though. It'd be cool to talk to him, but yeah, I don't think I have his number anymore. JDR days, man. We were fucking boys, you know. We were on the come up together.
In Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii. Yeah, that's right. Geneva. All right, dude. I'll let you go. Thanks so much, eh?
All right. Sounds good. Later, dude. Thank you for having me on. Peace.
No dramas, brother. See ya. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.